Chapter 335. In the president's office of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company, Lin Momo was busy at the desk. Qin Haodong was sitting on the sofa, taking out a small green leaf from time to time, and chewing it, making pharmacological speculations. At this time, the door opened, and Lu Yage hurried in from the outside. "Dr. Qin Momo, something happened," Lu Yage said. "Something happened? What happened this time? Didn't we solve the problem of medicinal materials?" Qin Haodong asked. "It's not our company. It's the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame." Qin Haodong and Lin Momo were relieved to hear that it was the Hall of Medical Fame. Qin Haodong asked, "Isn't the Hall of Medical Fame doing well recently? The kidney treasure tablet is also selling very well. What happened?" Lu Yage said, "You don't know yet. Now there is a lot of noise on the internet. During yesterday's free clinic, the Hall of Medical Fame killed 3 people at once. Today they all came to our door." 3 people died? Qin Haodong stood up. He keenly felt that this was not just a matter of the Hall of Medical Fame, but a matter of the whole traditional Chinese medicine. He said with annoyance, "How could this be? I've read the information of the doctors in the Hall of Medical Fame. They are all very skilled traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. How could they kill people, and 3 of them at once?" Lu Yage said, "I don't know the specific situation, but I heard that the doctor who killed them was Zhang Tianhe. The 3 prescriptions were written by him." Zhang Tianhe? Qin Haodong was slightly stunned when he heard the name. He was quite familiar with Zhang Tianhe. Although most of his fame was hyped up, he did have some real skills. At least he couldn't kill 3 people in a row. He said, "There must be something hidden in this matter. Zhang Tianhe has been a doctor all his life, and has never heard of a case of killing people. It's impossible for him to kill 3 people in one day." "I don't know. I read it on the internet," Lu Yage said. Now the matter is getting bigger and bigger. The internet has been noisy. At first, everyone just condemned Zhang Tianhe. Later, many people jumped out and accused traditional Chinese medicine as pseudoscience, shouting for the country to abolish the system of traditional Chinese medicine. Nonsense. The matter hasn't been investigated yet. How can you abolish traditional Chinese medicine? An inexplicable fire rose in Qin Haodong's heart. What he wanted to do was to develop traditional Chinese medicine. He had just made a little progress through the blood revival elixir. He hadn't expected such a thing to happen. Seeing his nervous look, Lin Momo said, "Haodong, is it serious?" Qin Haodong said with a serious face, "Although Jiangnan is not the capital, it is a famous place in the field of traditional Chinese medicine, which has a great influence on the whole Chinese medicine field. Now we are in troubled times and traditional Chinese medicine is in a precarious situation. If such a big thing happens, not only will the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame be completely finished, but the entire traditional Chinese medicine industry will also be affected." Lin Momo also realized the seriousness of the matter. Although it had happened in the Hall of Medical Fame, it could definitely affect the entire Chinese medicine industry, including Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. However, she still comforted him. "Haodong, you don't have to be so nervous. Although something happened, the Wang family should be able to handle it with their strength." Lu Yage said, "It seems that the Wang family has not made a sound yet. After the incident, the police have taken Che Xiaoxiao away." "What? Did they take Che Xiaoxiao away? Why was that? Shouldn't they arrest Wang Desheng?" Hearing that her best friend had been arrested and taken to the police station, Lin Momo immediately became nervous. Lu Yage said, "I also saw the news on the internet. I don't know the specific situation." Qin Haodong said, "Don't you know? The legal person of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame is Che Xiaoxiao. Since something happened, the legal person should be arrested. Wang Desheng is just an investor, so he can't be held responsible." Speaking of this, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. If all this had been carefully planned by Wang Desheng, it would be too terrible. "Damn Wang Desheng, he's such a scammer." Lin Momo grabbed her handbag and said anxiously, "Haodong, hurry up and come with me to see how Xiaoxiao is doing. She's such a poor girl. Even her parents are gone. No one cares about what happened." Qin Haodong went out with her. After getting in the car, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Nalan Wuxia's number. You want to ask about the Hall of Medical Fame, right? Because the impact of this matter is particularly great. The Municipal Bureau handed over the case to our crime squad. Che Xiaoxiao is making a statement in the interrogation room. Before Qin Haodong could speak, Nalan Wuxia had already said all the answers he wanted. I'm on my way to the crime squad. I'll be there soon. Qin Haodong hung up the phone and drove straight to the crime squad of Jiangnan City. Hearing that Che Xiaoxiao was making a statement in the crime squad, Lin Momo complained. The Hall of Medical Fame is run by Wang Desheng, and Zhang Tianhe is the one who cured people. Why should Xiaoxiao be arrested? Qin Haodong comforted her. Don't worry too much. As you said, although only 3 people died, Zhang Tianhe was the one who treated them. The Wang family is behind the Hall of Medical Fame, so Xiaoxiao shouldn't be in trouble. 10 minutes later, they arrived at the crime squad of Jiangnan City. Qin Haodong took Lin Momo to Nalan Wuxia's office. After entering the door, Lin Momo asked nervously, Sister Wuxia, how is the situation? Is Xiaoxiao okay? After asking the two of them to sit down, Nalan Wuxia said, the situation is not optimistic. Che Xiaoxiao may be held criminally responsible for this matter. Lin Momo had just sat in the chair, but when she heard this, she jumped up again. She didn't care about politeness and said anxiously, why? It was Zhang Tianhe who cured people. What does it have to do with Xiaoxiao? Sister Momo, don't worry. Listen to me slowly. Nalan Wuxia said, the worst thing is that Zhang Tianhe is dead. Someone must be held responsible for this matter. Che Xiaoxiao is the legal representative of the Hall of Medical Fame, so of course, she is the first person responsible for this case. Zhang Tianhe is dead? How did he die? Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. With Zhang Tianhe's medical skills, it was already very unbelievable that he had cured 3 people in one day. Now he had suddenly died. Wasn't this coincidence a bit too shocking? Nalan Wuxia said, last night, Zhang Tianhe died of a sudden myocardial infarction. This is the death certificate and rescue record issued by Jiangnan Hospital. As she spoke, she was about to send a few pieces of evidence to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong flipped through them. Judging from the certificate issued by Jiangnan Hospital, Zhang Tianhe had indeed died of a sudden myocardial infarction. The time of death had just been after work. However, there were too many suspicious points in this matter, which made it hard for him to believe. He said, where is Zhang Tianhe's body? I want to see it. Nalan Wuxia shook her head and said, it's too late. Just this morning, Zhang Tianhe finished the funeral. He has been cremated, and now there is only a handful of ashes. He was cremated so quickly. Qin Haodong was even more convinced that there was something wrong. According to the customs of Jiangnan, the dead would not be cremated until 3 days later. Zhang Tianhe had died yesterday and was cremated this morning. There must be an unspeakable secret. Lin Momo also noticed the difference and said, Sister Wuxia, there must be something wrong with this. The police have to find out why he died after treating people and was cremated immediately after death. Nalan Wuxia said with a bitter smile, I also think this is unusual, but the police can't do anything about it. After all, when to cremate and how to handle the funeral are the rights of the family. We have no right to interfere. The law needs evidence. We can't say that there is something wrong with it just because of this. Sister Wuxia, you have to find a way to help Xiaoxiao. She was completely tricked by Wang Desheng. She was doing well as a general manager in dreamy Jiangnan, but she ran here to be a president and became the legal representative of the company. Nalan Wuxia said, Sister Momo, I understand your feelings, but the law is the law. Che Xiaoxiao became the legal representative of the company on her own accord. Wang Desheng didn't force her to do it. You can't blame others for this. Lin Momo said angrily. She must have been deceived by that bastard Wang Desheng. Nalan Wuxia smiled and said, Sister Momo, who is the legal representative of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company? It's me. As soon as Lin Momo finished speaking, she realized Nalan Wuxia's intention and immediately said, the reason why I'm the legal representative and president is that Haodong doesn't have time, and Haodong certainly won't cheat me. Nalan Wuxia said with a smile, I guess what you think should be what she thinks. Che Xiaoxiao doesn't think that Wang Desheng will cheat her. But what else did Lin Momo want to say? But she was stopped by Qin Haodong. He said to Nalan Wuxia, "Anyway, we have to find a way to help Xiaoxiao. Can you help us think of a good way?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Now that this matter has caused such a big sensation, someone must take responsibility. Zhang Tianhe is dead, so only Che Xiaoxiao can take responsibility. What I can do here is to get bail for her and wait for trial. In the end, whether she will take responsibility or not, and how much responsibility she will bear, will be decided by the court." This, Lin Momo said unwillingly. "Is there no other way?" Nalan Wuxia shook her head and said, "Not yet." Qin Haodong patted Lin Momo on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry. Let's take Xiaoxiao back first. There is still some time before the trial. We should be able to find a way." Lin Momo said, "How much does it cost to get bail? I can pay for Xiaoxiao." Nalan Wuxia said, "No need. Wang Desheng has just finished the bail procedure for Che Xiaoxiao. She can leave after the statement is made." Lin Momo said, "Well, we won't bother you anymore. Let's go see Xiaoxiao." The two of them waited at the door of the crime squad for a while, and then Wang Desheng came out with Che Xiaoxiao. "Xiaoxiao, are you okay?" Lin Momo immediately rushed over and saw Che Xiaoxiao's red and swollen cheeks. She asked nervously, "What happened to your face? Who hit you?" In contrast, Che Xiaoxiao looked much calmer. She said with a smile, "It was the families of the deceased. They are all dead, so it's only right that they hit me." Lin Momo said angrily, "Why did they hit you? The Hall of Medical Fame belongs to Wang Desheng. They should have hit him." Wang Desheng said guiltily, "Momo is right. I hurt Xiaoxiao, but I couldn't help it. I wasn't there at the time. If I had been there, I wouldn't have let them hurt Xiaoxiao." Che Xiaoxiao said, "Momo, don't blame Desheng. He didn't want this to happen. You're still defending him at this time." Lin Momo glared at Wang Desheng and said, "How are you going to deal with this? Do you really want Xiaoxiao to go to jail? Did you predict this day would come? That's why you let Xiaoxiao be the legal representative?" Wang Desheng said, "Momo, you wronged me. I'm not an immortal. How could I have known that people would die in the Hall of Medical Fame? The reason why I made Xiaoxiao the legal representative was to give all the assets to her. I had no other intention." Chapter 336. Lin Momo also felt that Wang Desheng had not intended to do this. Her tone softened a lot, but she still said, "What do you think we should do now? Do you really want Xiaoxiao to go to jail?" "Definitely not." Wang Desheng patted his chest and said, "Momo, don't worry. Even if we go bankrupt, we won't let Xiaoxiao go to jail." Lin Momo said, "Wang Desheng, remember what you said. If you dare to let Xiaoxiao suffer any grievances with you, I won't spare you." At this time, Qin Haodong came over and patted Wang Desheng on the shoulder. He said in his ear, "God is watching what you do. Don't do anything against your conscience, or you will die miserably." His voice was very low, and his tone was very soft, but Wang Desheng could not help but shiver when he heard it. Lin Momo said to Che Xiaoxiao, "Let's go to dinner. I'll calm you down." Che Xiaoxiao said, "No, I've been out for so long, and such a big thing has happened in the company. There must be a lot to deal with. Let's get together again when we have time." Lin Momo sighed and said, "Well, it's up to you." After that, the four of them separated and drove away from the crime squad. After getting in the car, Lin Momo said angrily, "I don't know what Xiaoxiao owed Wang Desheng in her previous life. She didn't want to be a general manager, but ran out to suffer with him." Qin Haodong said, "Zhou, you beat Huang Gai, and he was willing to be beaten. You didn't see Xiaoxiao smiling happily from beginning to end. In her opinion, this is not suffering." Lin Momo sighed and said, "I hope the Wang family can have some conscience and deal with this matter. The Wang family has been operating in Jiangnan for so many years, and they should have a strong network. In addition, Wang Haiding is the president of the Jiangnan Chamber of Commerce. If they do their best, there should be no problem. At least it will be easy to get a reprieve for Xiaoxiao." Qin Haodong said, "The most fundamental thing in this matter is to appease the families of the deceased. As long as they stop making trouble, everything else will be easy. With the Wang family's manpower and financial resources, it should be very easy to do. They returned to the company. Time passed slowly, but they found that there was no movement from the Wang family. The families of the deceased were making more and more noise. At the same time, this matter quickly spread on the internet and major media. All kinds of posts were flying everywhere. Some were seeking justice for the families of the deceased. Some were scolding Zhang Tianhe, the Hall of Medical Fame, and some were scolding traditional Chinese medicine. Some were clamoring that traditional Chinese medicine was pseudoscience and should be abolished as soon as possible. There were also some people who stood up to defend traditional Chinese medicine, especially the patients who had recently been cured by the blood revival elixir. They became the backbone of defending traditional Chinese medicine and fought with those who clamored to abolish traditional Chinese medicine. They quarreled in various forums. However, what was strange was that the Wang family hadn't taken any action from the beginning to the ferment. Wang Desheng hadn't made any noise either, as if they were letting the matter continue to deteriorate. Lin Momo grabbed a folder and slammed it on the table. She said angrily, "Wang Desheng hasn't talked about compensation with the families of the deceased yet. What the hell is he doing? Do you really have to send Xiao Xiao to prison?" Qin Haodong said, "Forget it. It's useless for us to be anxious about this matter. Let's wait and see." The next day, the incident of the Hall of Medical Fame killing a patient didn't stop. On the contrary, it became more and more intense. It had covered all the news media in Huaxia. Various media debated whether traditional Chinese medicine was safe, scientific, and whether it should be abolished. Originally, the traditional Chinese medicine industry had been revitalized by the influence of the blood revival elixir that cured leukemia completely. However, after this incident, it began to falter in an instant. Looking at all the negativity online in the comments, Qin Haodong frowned. It was like a rat's poop spoiling the whole pot of soup. The Hall of Medical Fame had made such a big deal, but there was no response. Just as he was worried about the future of traditional Chinese medicine, Lu Yage walked in angrily. Lin Momo asked, "What's wrong, Sister Lu? Who made you angry?" Lu Yage said, "Momo, did you go online today? There were too many things this morning, so I didn't have time." Lin Momo's face showed a touch of joy as she said, "What's wrong? Is there any new movement in the Hall of Medical Fame? Did the Wang family start to calm things down?" Lu Yage said, "The damn Wang family hasn't moved at all. Now this matter not only involves the Hall of Medical Fame, but also our Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company." As she spoke, she took out her mobile phone and pointed to several messages on it. "Look, these people say that traditional Chinese medicine is a lie, so they even say that the blood revival elixir is hyped up and has no therapeutic effect at all. Some people are clamoring to come to our Tangmen company to demonstrate and make trouble, asking us to stop production and stop deceiving people under the guise of traditional Chinese medicine. *T. Are these people blind?" Lin Momo couldn't help swearing when it came to the honor of the blood revival elixir. She said angrily, "These people only know how to talk nonsense on the internet all day. Don't they see how many leukemia patients have been saved by the blood revival elixir?" Qin Haodong said, "Momo, you don't have to be angry. This whole thing seems to be a conspiracy. There must be someone behind it. It seems that they want to destroy traditional Chinese medicine." Lin Momo said nervously, "What should we do? If traditional Chinese medicine collapses, then our Tangmen company will definitely be finished." Qin Haodong frowned. This matter couldn't be solved by him alone. In the end, he had to rely on the power of the authorities. Just then his mobile phone rang. It was Pan Gaofeng, the director of the Sanitary Bureau. "Dr. Qin, do you have time? Can you come to my office for a minute?" Qin Haodong said, "Is it because of the death caused by the Hall of Medical Fame?" Pan Gaofeng said, "Yes, that's it. Now the impact of this matter is too great. It has attracted the attention of the higher-ups. The ministry asked us to take immediate measures to reduce the negative impact of this matter on the traditional Chinese medicine industry as much as possible. Director Ho Weigua is also here." Qin Haodong said, "Well, I'll be there right away." After hanging up the phone, Lin Momo asked, Haodong, who's looking for you? Qin Haodong said, It's Director Pan of the Sanitary Bureau. I'll go and have a look. Then, he left Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company in a hurry and rushed to the Municipal Sanitary Bureau. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Pan Gaofeng, the director of the Sanitary Bureau, and Ho Weigua, the director of the Sanitary Bureau, sitting together. Both of them looked very serious. Seeing Qin Haodong enter the door, Pan Gaofeng stood up and said, Dr. Qin, you're here. Ho Weigua said, Dr. Qin, let's get straight to the point. This matter of the Hall of Medical Fame has a great impact and has reached the point of threatening the traditional Chinese medicine industry. You have excellent medical skills and are proficient in traditional Chinese medicine. So Director Pan and I want to discuss with you to see if we can find a way to solve the current dilemma. Pan Gaofeng patted his head and said with a chagrined face, In fact, medical accidents are very normal. However, some people are afraid of the world being in chaos and dare to say anything. He grabbed a newspaper on the table and pointed it to Qin Haodong. Look, this is written by some bullshit expert. Medical accidents of traditional Chinese medicine occur frequently and should be replaced by Western medicine. Qin Haodong took the newspaper and glanced at it. The article was very long and listed many cases of death or disability caused by traditional Chinese medicine in recent years. At the same time, it quoted some anti-traditional Chinese medicine experts and scholars. In the end, it concluded that traditional Chinese medicine was a pseudoscience without any scientific basis. It also called on the people of Huaxia to believe in science and use science. It even suggested that the Huaxia government replace traditional Chinese medicine with more scientific Western medicine to ensure the lives and health of the people. Qin Haodong threw the newspaper on the table and said, After saying so much, why don't you take out the medical accident data of traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine and compare them to see which has more accidents and which has a higher mortality rate? If those who have more medical accidents can be disqualified, then there would be no Western medicine in Huaxia. Would these people dare to do this? After a pause to ease the anger in his heart, Qin Haodong said, In fact, everyone knows that Western medicine has more accidents than traditional Chinese medicine. The accident rate of traditional Chinese medicine is at most a fraction of that of Western medicine. The number of patients who die is even less than a fraction of that of Western medicine. But why doesn't anyone denounce Western medicine? Because Western medicine is a foreign monk. They don't dare to beat or scold it. But traditional Chinese medicine is their own child. They can scold it as much as they want. If they scold it well, they can get a lot of dollars and even a green card in country. Ho Weigua said, Haodong, don't say it out of anger. We all understand this. What we need to discuss now is how to solve the difficulties in front of us and how to calm down this matter. Now the media is getting more and more intense. Many websites have even opened online polls on whether to support the abolition of traditional Chinese medicine. Although people still support and love traditional Chinese medicine, the number of people who vote against it is far higher than those who vote for it. But there are still some people who vote for it. They are all native Huaxia people. Even their own people want to abolish traditional Chinese medicine. It shows how embarrassing the current situation of traditional Chinese medicine is. From the conversation, it could be seen that the two chief officials supported traditional Chinese medicine. Qin Haodong said, Director Ho, Director Pan, what do you need me to do? As long as I can help traditional Chinese medicine, I will do my best. Pan Gaofeng said, I've known Zhang Tianhe for decades. He's a very good doctor, and his medical skills are also very high. But now he killed 3 people at once. I feel that it's very strange. Can you help us take a look and see if there's any problem? Qin Haodong said, Well, do you have the information of the deceased and the prescription prescribed by Zhang Tianhe? He had wanted to see these things before to figure out the whole story, but the information had been taken away by the authorities after the incident. We have all the information ready, Pan Gaofeng said as he took out a file bag. After opening it, he handed a stack of information to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong first opened the file bag containing the information of the deceased. Only by understanding the physical condition and illness of the deceased, before they died, could he determine whether there was any problem with the prescription prescribed by the doctor. There was a total of 3 deceased people's information. 2 of them had suffered from different degrees of stomach disease before they died, and 1 had suffered from liver disease. However, they were not particularly serious, at least not to the extent of threatening their lives. Qin Haodong carefully looked at their previous medical records and remembered the physical condition of the 3 people, the time of onset, and the previous medication in his mind. After all this was done, he opened another file bag, which contained the 3 prescriptions written by Zhang Tianhe. These 3 prescriptions were written by Zhang Tianhe himself and stamped with his personal seal. There was no problem. At this time, Pan Gaofeng said, "Before you came, we also found some experts in traditional Chinese medicine to check these prescriptions. They all said that there is no problem." Ho Weigua said, "There is no problem with the prescriptions. This is the biggest problem. If there is no problem with the prescriptions written by traditional Chinese medicine, but the patients died, and 3 of them died at once, it means that there is a problem with traditional Chinese medicine. It further confirms those people who say that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific." Chapter 337. Qin Haodong frowned. It was exactly as Ho Weigua had said. If they couldn't find the patient's problem, or find the problem in the prescriptions, then they could only put the blame on traditional Chinese medicine. However, he believed that traditional Chinese medicine, which had been passed down for thousands of years, had completely formed its own system. It was impossible for such a huge loophole to appear. Moreover, Zhang Tianhe had never killed a patient in his life. How could 3 people suddenly die? If there was no problem, Ho Weigua would not believe it. He carefully read the 3 prescriptions written by Zhang Tianhe several times, but still couldn't find any loopholes. "Dr. Qin, how is it?" Pan Ligua asked eagerly. As the director of the Sanitary Bureau of Jiangnan City, he had faced great pressure in the past 2 days. He hoped to solve the current dilemma with Qin Haodong's help. Qin Haodong said, "At present, these 3 prescriptions are for stomach and liver diseases. There is nothing wrong with them." Ho Weigua said with a wry smile, "If that's the case, we can only punish the Hall of Medical Fame to appease the current public anger and give the families of the deceased an explanation. However, this will have a great negative impact on the traditional Chinese medicine industry. It will indirectly admit that there is a problem with the prescriptions of traditional Chinese medicine." Qin Haodong stared at the prescriptions, trying to find loopholes that he hadn't found. He said, "There are many things to pay attention to when taking traditional Chinese medicine. The temperature of the fire, the time, and whether the patient has eaten mutually reinforcing or restraining food during taking the medicine need to be studied in detail." Pan Gaofeng said, "I've asked people to investigate these. There is no problem." This matter was taken very seriously. After the incident, the Sanitary Bureau immediately organized an investigation team to collect evidence on the scene of the deceased's family. They even checked the residue of the medicine that had not been eaten. There was no problem. "That's strange. There is obviously a problem, but we can't find out what the problem is." He held the 3 prescriptions in his hand, checked them one by one, and then put them on the table one by one. Finally, they were arranged in a row. Ho Weigua sighed and said, "If it doesn't work, we can only do this. The higher-ups are urging us to give the public an explanation as soon as possible. We can't delay it any longer. Now it seems that we can only punish the Hall of Medical Fame heavily." At this moment, Qin Haodong suddenly shouted. Suddenly he shouted, "Wait a moment, I think I found the problem." "What's the problem?" Ho Weigua and Pan Gaofeng asked simultaneously. Qin Haodong pointed to the 3 prescriptions and said, "Look, there is the same medicinal material in these 3 prescriptions. It's called Polygonum paniculatum." "Is there a problem?" Ho Weigua asked. Pan Gaofeng also had a rough understanding of traditional Chinese medicine, so he said, "Isn't the 7-leaved flower a Chinese herbal medicine? As far as I know, it's effective in treating stomach and liver diseases. What's wrong with it?" Qin Haodong said, That's what it looks like on the surface, but we neglected a problem. Aesculus septentrifolia was once a medicine on the blacklist of imperial physicians. If used properly, it can cure diseases and save lives. If used improperly, it can harm people. Blacklist of imperial physicians? What's that? Ho Weiguo didn't know much about this. Qin Haodong said, in the Ming Dynasty, in order to ensure the safety of the drugs used by the royal family, many imperial physicians used prisoners to test the drugs. After 65 years, they distinguished more than 5,000 kinds of medicinal materials into 6 categories. Among them, there are 132 highly toxic medicinal materials and 911 medicinal materials with relatively mild toxicity. The other medicinal materials have also been classified. This is the famous imperial physician blacklist in the history of Huaxia. Ho Weiguo asked, what does it have to do with this case? Qin Haodong said, Aesculus septentrifolia is one of more than 900 kinds of slow toxic medicinal materials, and it has extremely special properties. If it is properly matched with other medicinal materials, its toxicity can be effectively controlled, and it can cure diseases and save lives. If it is matched with mutually reinforcing and counteracting medicine, the slow poison will become highly toxic and can cause death. The medicinal materials used in the prescription prescribed by Zhang Tianhe are all conventional medicines for treating stomach and liver diseases, so we didn't find the problem just now. But if Aesculus septentrifolia is included, it's completely different, because every prescription has a counteracting medicine. That is to say, this kind of medicine is already poison when it is brewed. It's not surprising that it can cause death. Speaking of this, he slapped the table and said, so this is not a medical accident at all, but murder. Murder? How is that possible? Ho Weiguo and Pan Gaofeng were obviously shocked by Qin Haodong's words. Qin Haodong said, as an old Chinese medicine practitioner, Zhang Tianhe naturally knew how to use Aesculus septentrifolia. If he had prescribed a wrong prescription, it might have been a coincidence. 2 prescriptions would barely make sense. However, he prescribed 3 prescriptions in a day, which was obviously intentional. It's not that he didn't know the toxicity of Aesculus septentrifolia. On the contrary, he knew it very well and used it cleverly. He put 1 or 2 counteracting medicines in each prescription, which could accelerate the patient's death. Pan Gaofeng calmed down and said, but I still don't understand what Zhang Tianhe's intention was. He didn't know these patients. Why did he kill them? Ho Weiguo said, in this way, the Hall of Medical Fame has also become a victim. The Wang family would never do such a thing. Wouldn't that be destroying their own jobs? Qin Haodong said, I don't know the specific motive, but Chinese medicine has been a little too popular recently, especially the blood revival elixir. It has cut off a lot of people's livelihood, so they will naturally make trouble for Chinese medicine. Also, Zhang Tianhe died on the same night after he wrote the 3 prescriptions. Generally speaking, old Chinese medicine practitioners should live to be at least 70 or 80 years old, but he died in his 60s. Furthermore, the time of his death is too coincidental, so there must be a conspiracy. Pan Gaofeng and Ho Weiguo nodded repeatedly, but then Ho Weiguo said, but these are all our guesses. Although they seem reasonable, they can't be used as substantive evidence, let alone answer the public's doubts. Qin Haodong said, indeed, guesses can't be used as evidence, but at least it gives us a direction. We can follow this direction to find evidence. Pan Gaofeng said, Dr. Qin, what do you think we should do? Qin Haodong said, immediately prepare 3 doses of medicine according to Zhang Tianhe's prescriptions, and then test their toxicity. Once it's confirmed that they are poisonous, immediately call the police and ask them to intervene in the investigation. Zhang Tianhe wasn't an idiot. He had obviously done it on purpose, so there must have been a powerful benefit behind him that made him willingly take the risk to do it. However, he hadn't expected that he would be silenced after the incident. The police can investigate his recent source of income or other movements. As long as other evidence is found, the truth can be revealed. Ho Weiguo said, Dr. Qin is right. We will do this right away. As soon as they came to a conclusion, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. It was Lin Momo. Haodong, come back quickly. A lot of people have gathered in front of our Tangmin company. They said that someone died after eating the blood revival elixir. They are shouting that they want to smash our company. Someone died after eating the blood revival elixir? That's impossible. Qin Haodong was very familiar with the drugs he had developed. The predecessor of the blood revival elixir was the blood revival elixir, which was a prescription from the cultivation world. Since someone had come to the Tangmin company to make trouble, it meant that the person behind the scenes was not satisfied with destroying the Hall of Medical Fame and wanted to take action against him. After explaining the matter to Pan Gaofeng and Ho Weigua, Pan Gaofeng quickly said, "The blood revival elixir is now the pillar of the traditional Chinese medicine circle. You should go back and have a look. Don't let anything happen again." Qin Haodong said with a cold expression. Now it can be seen that this conspiracy is aimed at the whole traditional Chinese medicine. The purpose is to completely destroy traditional Chinese medicine, and even let traditional Chinese medicine bid farewell to the historical stage of Huaxia. Wang Weigua said angrily, "These bastards, if we find out who did this, we must make them pay the price." At this time, hundreds of people had gathered in front of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. They were divided into 3 layers and blocked the door. The outermost layer was a group of people holding all kinds of banners. TCM is a pseudoscience. I strongly recommend that TCM be abolished. A black-hearted pharmaceutical company that cheats people and swindles money will be punished by God. T doctors and swindlers. Qin Haodong will pay with blood. Behind these people, there was a crystal coffin with a middle-aged man in his 50s lying in it. Beside the coffin were dozens of people in mourning clothes. Some of them were in pain, while others were shouting slogans. They were led by a young man in his 30s and a girl in her 20s. The man was dressed in ordinary clothes and looked very ordinary. He was about 1.7 meters tall. If he hadn't been standing in the front, he wouldn't have attracted anyone's attention. The girl was very different from him. She was pretty and somewhat beautiful. In front of these people, standing in the middle layer were Ma Sanbao, the cripple man, and the others. They were all patients who had been cured by Qin Haodong. After hearing the news that someone was going to besiege the Tangmin company, they immediately ran over to support Qin Haodong and traditional Chinese medicine. Behind Ma Sanbao and the others were the security personnel of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. They were guarding the door, ready to fight. The young man shouted at Ma Sanbao and the others, "Get out of the way. We're here to settle accounts with Qin Haodong. It has nothing to do with you." Ma Sanbao said excitedly, "Dr. Qin is our savior. If you want to make trouble for him, you have to do it over our dead bodies." A middle-aged man next to the young man shouted, "You've all been cheated by him. Qin Haodong is a swindler. He doesn't know medicine at all. The blood revival elixir is used to cheat money. You have to believe in science. If you're sick, go see Western medicine. Don't believe in pseudoscience like traditional Chinese medicine." It would have been better if he hadn't said that. His words immediately aroused the public's anger. The cripple shouted angrily, "Have you ever had leukemia? Do you know how to treat leukemia? A box of Baikong Sting costs more than 20,000 yuan, which is only enough for a month. I spent hundreds of thousands on Western medicine and sold my house. But what happened in the end? In the end, I had no money and could only wait for death. In the end, it was Dr. Qin who saved us. It was traditional Chinese medicine who saved us." The others also shouted angrily, "Yes, it was Dr. Qin who saved us. It was traditional Chinese medicine who saved our lives. You are not allowed to slander Dr. Qin and traditional Chinese medicine. You people with ulterior motives, get out of here." Seeing that his side was at a disadvantage, the young man took a step to the side and shouted to the crystal coffin behind him, "What do you know? The blood revival elixir killed my father. Qin Haodong is a swindler." As he spoke, the young man pulled the girl next to him and cried, "We lost our mother when we were young. It was our father who worked hard to raise us. I didn't expect that he would be killed by Qin Haodong, a quack, before he could live a good life." Chapter 338. After the man finished speaking, Ma Sanbao's momentum immediately weakened a little. Anyway, someone had indeed died. At this time, a reporter carrying a camera ran over and said to the man, "Sir, can you tell us the situation in detail? What happened to you?" "My name is Yang Baozhong. My sister is Yang Baolian, and my father is Yang Sanqiang. Not long after my sister was born, my mother passed away. It was my father who raised me and my sister, and worked hard to send us to college. But last year, my father contracted leukemia. A few days ago, I heard that the blood revival elixir of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company could cure leukemia completely. My family of 3 came to the sales point every day to line up. This morning it was finally our turn. I didn't expect that my father would suddenly die shortly after taking the blood revival elixir. This black-hearted pharmaceutical company killed my father. I want them to pay for it with their blood." Yang Baozhong's nose was full of tears. Speaking of this, he lay on the ground with an exaggerated expression. He hugged the crystal coffin and cried bitterly. His sad expression could not help but move people. Yang Baolian, on the other hand, silently wiped her tears and didn't say anything. At this time Ma Sanbao said, "That's impossible. The blood revival elixir is a magic medicine invented by Dr. Qin. It has cured tens of thousands of leukemia patients since it came on the market. We are all fine after taking it. Why can't your father take it?" Other leukemia patients also cried out, "Yes, we have all been cured. Why can't your father?" When Dr. Qin treated people a few days ago, he met a blackmailer who pretended to be dead. I think they are the same. I don't know what these people are thinking. Dr. Qin is such a good person, but they always want to go against him. They are really damn it. Hearing the discussion of the crowd, Yang Baozhong's expression changed at first, and then he shouted, "You are talking nonsense. My father is really dead. How could I be a blackmailer?" Ma Sanbao said, "No one knows whether he is really dead or not. The blackmailer was also thought to be dead at the time. Even the first aid doctor said he was dead. In the end, he was saved by Dr. Qin." "Nonsense, you are the blackmailer. Your whole family is blackmailer." While the two sides were quarreling, the door of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company opened. Lin Momo came in with Saber and others. She stopped Ma Sanbao, who was about to argue, and asked Yang Baozhong, "Who is the deceased to you?" "This is my father." Yang Baozhong glanced at Lin Momo and asked, "Who are you?" "I'm Lin Momo, the president of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. Tell me if you need anything. It was your black-hearted enterprise that killed my father. I want you to pay with your life." Yang Baozhong swung his fist at Lin Momo's face, but Saber grabbed his wrist and threw him back. "They're hitting people. They're hitting people. Tangmin Company killed people and beat people. Where is the law? Where are the reporters? Hurry up and take pictures of them. Expose these black-hearted companies." Seeing this scene, the people behind Yang Baozhong immediately clamored. "All of you shut up." Lin Momo shouted angrily, and the aura of a female president was instantly released. She glanced at Yang Baozhong, who was getting up from the ground, and said, "Since you're here, let's investigate this matter clearly. If it was really our blood revival elixir that killed your father, our company is willing to bear the responsibility. If it is not our company's responsibility, you must bear the responsibility for attacking our company without authorization and slandering our company's reputation." "Bitch, you're still trying to scare me. I tell you, I don't want you to take responsibility, and I don't want the stinky money of your black-hearted enterprise. I'm going to tear down your company and let you pay for my father's death." Then, he picked up a brick from the ground and shouted, "Everyone, let's do it together and tear down this black-hearted enterprise. Don't let them hurt people anymore." Behind him, the people immediately echoed, "Yes, don't talk nonsense with this woman. Smash their pharmaceutical factory." These people attacked Lin Momo together. Those in mourning clothes rushed to the front, followed by some onlookers. However, these people's eyes were fierce, and it was obvious that they were not good characters. Moreover, they had been prepared. Some people had even taken out the steel pipes that they had prepared, and some had picked up bricks and stones from the ground. Ma Sanbao wanted to stop them, But most of these troublemakers were young and strong men, while Ma Sanbao's group was made up of men, women old and young. Many of them had just recovered from a serious illness, and their physical strength was much worse than theirs. Soon they were scattered. Saber's face turned cold. He glanced at Lin Momo and asked, "Miss, do you want us to clean up these people?" Lin Momo shook her head and said, "No, that will have a greater impact. Don't you see that there are so many media reporters around?" Saber said, "What should we do? We can't let these people go on like this. Wait a little longer. Haodong should be back soon." In Lin Momo's heart, as long as Haodong came back, the problem would be solved. At this moment, a loud shout came from outside the crowd. "Stop!" Qin Haodong not only used his internal strength, but also a little mind manipulating. The people present immediately stopped. At this time, a police car drove to the front of Tangmin Company, and 70 or 80 heavily armed special police jumped out of the car. These people quickly formed a line, holding explosion-proof shields and batons in their hands. They lined up in front of Tangmin Company, blocking the family members in mourning clothes and the troublemakers. Qin Haodong and Nalin Wuxia rushed over together. After receiving Lin Momo's notice, he immediately called Nalin Wuxia and asked her to mobilize a large number of special police. Otherwise, this scene would really get out of control. "I'm Qin Haodong, the boss of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. If you have anything to say, tell me. If this person really died because of taking the blood revival elixir, I'm willing to pay for it with my life. If someone deliberately makes trouble here, I will definitely make him pay the price." As Qin Haodong spoke, he walked in front of Yang Baozhong and glanced around coldly. His powerful spirit power was mixed with mind manipulating, which made the troublemakers feel a chill in their hearts. The scene became much quieter in an instant. Seeing that the momentum of the people on his side was suppressed, Yang Baozhong bravely shouted, "You're Qin Haodong. The shit blood revival elixir you developed killed my father. Today, you must give me an explanation, or I'll make you pay for it with your life." Qin Haodong asked coldly, "Are you a family member of the deceased?" "I am." "You quack, you killed my father. Today, I'm going to expose your true face, and the true face of traditional Chinese medicine. I'll make your pharmaceutical factory go bankrupt. I won't let your black-hearted enterprise hurt people again." Yang Baozhong shouted at the top of his voice. Qin Haodong glared at him and said, "You're here to make trouble, aren't you? I hope you'll be responsible for what you said. Don't regret it later." A man in white mourning clothes shouted, "He's still so arrogant after killing someone. Brothers, smash his broken pharmaceutical factory and teach him a lesson." Qin Haodong's eyes swept over him sharply and he said coldly, "Who are you?" It could be seen from this guy's tone that he was definitely not a family member of the patient. There must be someone behind this matter, and this person must have come to make trouble. The man looked into Qin Haodong's eyes and his heart trembled. He braced himself and said, "I'm a family member of the patient. What's wrong? I'm here to seek justice." "You're a family member of the deceased, okay? What's your relationship with the deceased? What did you call him? Where's your family?" Qin Haodong pointed to Yang Baozhong and said, "What did you call him? Where does he live? What's his name? If you can't tell me, I'll teach you a lesson." The man's expression froze. He was just paid to do things. How could he know the deceased? He couldn't answer Qin Haodong's questions. "Well, actually, I just came out for a walk. The deceased was so pitiful, and I felt sorry for them. So I came to help them." "Didn't you just say that you were a family member? Why did you change your mind so quickly?" Qin Haodong sneered and said, "You really have a strong taste. Don't your parents have any problem with you wearing mourning clothes when you go out for a walk?" As soon as he finished speaking, Ma Sanbao and the others burst into laughter. The anger that had accumulated in their hearts just now finally dissipated a little. Qin Haodong said to the man again, "I'm telling you, God is watching what you do. Don't do anything immoral, or you'll pay the price." The man's face turned red and he shouted fiercely, "Why are you so arrogant? You're talking about the dead man now." At this time, Nalin Wuxia said, "Dr. Qin will definitely give you an explanation about the patient. But all the people who just participated in the trouble will now go back to the crime squad with me to make a statement, including the deceased's family members. Why? I just passed by here and shouted when I saw the injustice. The brother and sister were so pitiful, so I helped them. What's wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that? That's right. What's so great about the police? Can you be lawless with the support of the police? We have media reporters here, who can expose you. The people who had just made trouble were not happy. They were idle people who had been paid to help, and they were all full of ruffians. I'm telling you, there are cameras in front of the Tangmen company. What you did just now has been recorded. The police will investigate one by one. If they find out that you were paid to do things for others, you know the consequences. Qin Haodong's voice was cold. He was really angry. His current ambition was to develop traditional Chinese medicine, but it had been destroyed one after another as soon as he started. How could he not be angry? Looking at Qin Haodong's murderous look, those people felt a chill in their hearts for no reason, and were a little scared. They did take other people's money, but they saw that Qin Haodong was not easy to deal with. Besides, there were so many police officers present. If they continued to make trouble, they would suffer. Let's go. Since you don't want to watch the fun, let's go back to eat. There were already a few hooligans who wanted to retreat. Nalan Wuxia said coldly, "What do you think this place is? Do you think you can come and go as you please? If you can go at any time if you break the law, why do you need the police?" As she said that, she pointed to a few gangsters in the crowd and said, "Arrest them, and take them back to the crime squad for investigation." These were the guys who had just made the most trouble. She had been a criminal police officer for so many years, so she could tell at a glance that these people were the leaders of the trouble. As long as they were arrested, it would be easy to find out the mastermind behind it. Why? You can't arrest them by mistake. We're just watching the fun. We didn't break the law. Why do you arrest us? Those people turned around and were about to run away, but they were pressed to the ground by the police, Saber, and others who quickly caught up with them. They were directly handcuffed. Seeing that the leader was taken away by the police, the other troublemakers immediately became quiet. Chapter 339. Seeing that the situation was under control, Qin Haodong stepped toward the crystal coffin. "What are you going to do?" Yang Baozhong opened his arms and blocked Qin Haodong. "I want to see the dead man and determine how he died. If he really died because of the blood revival elixir, I'll pay for it with my life." Yang Baozhong cried. "Do you need to say that? My father just bought the blood revival elixir from you this morning. He died after taking it. You must be the quack who killed him." Qin Haodong said coldly. "Since you're so sure, why don't you let me have a look? Let him rest in peace. My father is dead. Why are you still looking at him? Do you really want to rest in peace? If that was the case, you wouldn't have brought him here." Qin Haodong said, "Since you're so sure that my blood revival elixir killed your father, why don't you let me have a look? Don't tell me you're doing some shady business here." Yeah, could it be that there's some shady business going on? He doesn't even dare to let Dr. Qin have a look. Maybe it's another blackmailer. He has a guilty conscience. I think he's afraid of being seen by Dr. Qin. Hearing this, Ma Sambao and the others also shouted. At this time young Balian, who had been silent, said, "Brother, just let him have a look, in case they don't admit it." Seeing that there was no way to stop it, young Baozhong said helplessly, "Well, just have a look. Don't take too long." Qin Haodong came to the crystal coffin, raised his hand and gently patted it. He opened the lid and exposed Yang Sanxiang's body to the air. He first reached out and put his hand on Yang Sanxiang's wrist. Yang Baozhong said, "Stop pretending. He's dead. Why are you still pretending to feel his pulse?" Qin Haodong ignored him. He opened Yang Sanxiang's eyelids and looked at him. He reached out and pressed his neck a few times. He frowned. Suddenly, he reached out and tore Yang Sanxiang's shirt. Yang Baozhong seemed to be shocked by his action and cried, "What are you doing? My father is dead. Why are you taking off his clothes?" Qin Haodong threw the torn clothes aside, pointed to Yang Sanxiang's body, and asked, "What's the matter with the scars on his body?" Everyone looked in the direction of his finger, and saw that Yang Sanxiang had several scratches on his chest and bruises on his left and right arms. Yang Baozhong licked his lips and said nervously, "How would I know? Maybe it was my father who fell. My father has been very weak ever since he got sick. A fall is nothing." Qin Haodong looked at him coldly and said, "Didn't you say you didn't know? Why did you say your father fell? Do you know or Don?" Yang Baozhong stammered, I guess he fell. Yang cough, Yang, Haodong Yang's back. Yang was asked. "I said he fell." Yang said. "I said. Yang." Qin Haodong's eyes turned back to Yang Baozhong. He pointed to Yang Sanxiang and said, "You said that the deceased fell, but this is not a fall at all. If a person falls normally, the first place to be injured would be the forehead, elbows and lower jaw. But now, the victim's body is perfectly fine, but the chest and arms are injured. It's obvious that he was injured when he was fighting with someone." Yang Baozhong said, What nonsense are you talking about? How could my father fight with someone?" Yang Balian also said, "Yes, it's impossible. My father has a good temper and never fights with others. Besides, he is a patient now. How could he fight with others? Having a good temper doesn't mean that he won't resist when someone feeds him poison." Qin Haodong suddenly turned his head to look at Yang Baozhong and said angrily, "Your father didn't die from eating the blood revival elixir. He was poisoned by you, my unfilial son." The crowd burst into an uproar as soon as he said that. "Can you? This person may be the deceased's biological son. Would he really kill his own father? I knew it. The blood revival elixir cured so many of us, and no one was hurt. How could he die after eating it? It turns out that he was poisoned by his own son. He's worse than a beast. He poisoned his own father to death." Yang Baozhong's face was full of shock at first, and then he shouted, "Nonsense! You quack, you're trying to shirk your responsibility. How could I poison my father?" Yang Balian also said, "Dr. Qin, I've heard of your name. I used to admire you very much, but you can't say that my brother killed my father in order to shirk your responsibility." Qin Haodong looked at her and said, "If I'm not wrong, you weren't around when your father died." Yang Balian was slightly stunned and said, "That's true. Everything was normal after my father took the blood revival elixir. When he got home, he wanted to eat soybean milk and fried dough sticks, so I went to the street corner to buy it for him. When I got home, I found that he was not breathing." Qin Haodong said, "That's right. During the time you were away, your brother poisoned your father. Originally, your brother put the poison in the water and wanted to trick your father into drinking it. However, your father waited for soybean milk instead of water. Your brother was afraid that the matter would be exposed when you came back, so he forced your father to drink it. That's why he has these scars on his body." You. Yang Baozhong looked at Qin Haodong in horror. He had never imagined that Qin Haodong's guess was exactly the same as his own. Yang Balian turned to look at Yang Baozhong and asked in surprise, "Brother, say something. Did you really poison my father?" Yang Baozhong came to his senses and cried, "Sister, don't listen to this bastard's nonsense. He just wants to shirk his responsibility and put the blame on me. How could I poison our father?" Yang Balian looked at Qin Haodong and said, "Although my father was injured, and what you said seemed a bit coincidental, I can't believe what you said. It was not easy for my father to raise us. My brother would not poison him in any case." At this time, some people in the crowd also raised doubts. "I don't think it's possible either. It's a bit strange. I guess he just wanted to shirk his responsibility. How could a son kill his own father?" Then, Ma Sanbao and others immediately refuted, "You're talking nonsense. Dr. Qin has always been very accurate. What he said must be true." Qin Haodong ignored the arguments around him. He glanced coldly at Yang Baozhong, and then said to Yang Balian, "You don't believe what I said, but you will believe what your father said, right?" My father is dead. How could he speak?" Yang Balian said in astonishment. Yang Baozhong cried, "See? This is a madman talking nonsense. My father has been killed by him, but he still wants to let my father speak." Qin Haodong sneered and said, "You don't understand traditional Chinese medicine. I'll give you a brief explanation. Leukemia is a manifestation of blood poisoning, and the mechanism of the blood revival elixir to cure leukemia is to remove blood poison. From another perspective, the blood revival elixir has the function of detoxification. After listening to Qin Haodong's words, Yang Baolian seemed to be thinking about something. Yang Baozhong cried, "Why are you telling me this? I only know that your medicine killed my father. I don't want to know how it works." Qin Haodong said, "I just want to tell you one thing. The blood revival elixir has a certain detoxification function. Because of this, the poison you fed your father didn't kill him. It just made him enter a state of suspended animation by accident." Yang Baozhong's face was full of panic at first, and then he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Impossible! This is absolutely impossible. You're cheating me. I don't need to cheat you, and you don't need to deny it. I'll wake your father up now and see what he says." Qin Haodong took out the silver needles and was about to give them to Yang Sanxiang, who was lying on the ground. Yang Baozhong immediately stepped forward to stop him and cried, "No, my father is dead. You can't hurt his body anymore." Seeing his panic, Ma Sanbao and the others immediately shouted, "It's obvious that he has a guilty conscience. This guy must have poisoned his father." "That's right. Look at how panicked he is. He must have done it. He poisoned his own father with his own hands. It's intolerable." Yang Baolian looked at Yang Baozhong coldly and said, "Brother, you're not really guilty, are you?" Yang Baozhong said with a stiff expression, "How is that possible? Sister, what are you talking about? How could I be guilty? I don't want this guy to hurt our father again." "Then let Dr. Qin have a try. Maybe he can save our father." Yang Baolian pushed Yang Baozhong away and then said to Qin Haodong, "Dr. Qin, as long as you can save my father, I, Yang Baolian, will do anything to repay you." Qin Haodong nodded and stepped in front of Yang Sanxiang. He held the golden needles in his hand and moved like lightning. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 golden needles were pierced into the major acupoints on Yang Sanxiang's chest. He had just seen that Yang Sanxiang had been poisoned by another kind of genetic toxin, but it was much more toxic than the one that the blackmailer had eaten last time. This time, he really wanted to poison Yang Sanxiang to death. Fortunately, the blood revival elixir offset some of the toxicity, so Yang Sanxiang did not die immediately. However, if he did not get rid of this state as soon as possible, he would die sooner or later. Fortunately, he met Qin Haodong. 5 minutes later, Qin Haodong took out the golden needles and patted Yang Sanxiang's lower abdomen. Yang Sanxiang opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of black water. Then he slowly opened his eyes. "Dad, are you really okay, Dad?" Yang Baolian cried with joy and rushed over to help Yang Sanxiang up. "He's alive. The dead really came back to life. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Dr. Qin can really bring the dead back to life. Of course, otherwise, why would he be called medical sage? He can even bring the dead back to life." The onlookers were excited, but Yang Baozhong's face was pale, and his body began to tremble. He turned his head and was about to run away, but he was kicked back by Sword, who had been waiting beside him. He fell in front of Yang Sanxiang with a plop. When Yang Sanxiang saw Yang Baozhong, he immediately pointed at his nose and scolded, "Beast, you beast! I raised you for so many years, but you actually gave me poison. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" As soon as he said this, it was tantamount to confirming Qin Haodong's speculation. It turned out that it was not the blood revival elixir that had poisoned Yang Sanxiang, but his own son. Fortunately, he met Qin Haodong. Otherwise, the old man would have really been poisoned by this unfilial son. Yang Baozhong wanted to explain, but he could not say a complete sentence. He was nervous and scared, and his whole body was shaking. "You bastard!" Yang Baolian slapped Yang Baozhong's face, pointed at his nose and said angrily, "How could you even do such a thing? Have you forgotten how Dad raised us?" Chapter 340. Dad, little sister, listen to me. I have my own difficulties. Yang Baozhong's nose was full of tears and snot. He suddenly became pitiful and said, "They forced me to do this. If I didn't let you drink those pills, they would have killed me. Those people had guns. Even if I didn't give you the medicine, they would still kill our family. Yang Baoyan said angrily. Even if someone forced you, you can't give Dad poison. At most, we can go to the police. Qin Haodong looked at Yang Baozhong and said, I'm afraid it's not as simple as they forced you. Did you also take money from them? When he asked, he had already used mind bewitching. Yang Baozhong's eyes flashed with confusion and he said, Well, they gave me 5 million. With this money, I can buy a house, a car, and a wife. You. Yang Baoyan was even more furious. Bastard, for 5 million, you even abandoned your own father. Are you still a human? Enough, can you blame me? Yang Baozhong suddenly became angry and cried. I'm 30 years old. Because my family is poor and can't afford a house, I still don't have a girlfriend. Why can't he give me a good living conditions when he gave birth to me? Just because he was sick, he spent all the money for me to marry a wife. It doesn't matter if I don't have money. He can make me handsome. Just like you have always been pursued by boys since you were a child, and never thought about finding a boyfriend. But what about me? We both have the same parents. Why are you beautiful? I have no money and I look very ordinary. No girls like me at all. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to live like this? I'm not reconciled. I want 5 million. Under the influence of mind bewitching, Yang Baozhong burst out all the hidden darkness in his heart. You. Yang Baoyan was so angry that she trembled all over and couldn't say a word. Yang Sanqiang looked at the son he had raised for 30 years. It seemed that he had suddenly become a stranger. His eyes flashed with sadness, pain, and disappointment. He said miserably, Forget it. It's all my fault. From today on, you don't have me as your father, and I don't have you as my son. Qin Haodong said to Yang Baozhong, Where did you get those medicines? Who told you to do all this? Yang Baozhong said, I don't know those people. They were all wearing masks and had pistols in their hands. They gave me the potion. They said that as long as one drank the medicine, it would be no different from a natural death. Then as long as one said that one had died from eating the blood revival elixir, no one would find out. If I don't agree, they'll kill me and my family immediately. If I agree, they'll give me 5 million yuan as a reward, and all the compensation from Tangmen Company will be mine. Qin Haodong asked a few more questions. Except for some details about giving Yang Sanqiang medicine, the guy knew nothing else useful. He turned to look at Nailan Wuxia and said, The matter has been investigated. You can deal with this person. Take him away. He must be sentenced to death. People like him who killed their own father are worse than pigs and dogs. They must be punished by the law. He slandered traditional Chinese medicine and Dr. Qin after receiving money. He must pay the price. Amidst the angry denunciations, 2 policemen handcuffed Yang Baozhong and took him to the police car. Several of the main ringleaders in Yang Baozhong had been brought to justice, so the rest of the people who had gathered in front of the Tangmen Company naturally couldn't cause any more trouble. The hundreds of people who had gathered in front of the Tangmen Company instantly dispersed, and the violent attack on the Tangmen Company had been lifted. The reporters also dispersed excitedly. They had not come in vain today. They had gotten a lot of breaking news they needed. I'll go back first and see if I can find some useful clues from these people. Nailan Wuxia said goodbye to Qin Haodong, and then announced the withdrawal of the team. She returned to the Jiangnan crime squad with her people. Although the matter had been successfully resolved, Qin Haodong was not relaxed. It was obviously a big conspiracy against traditional Chinese medicine. Although he had failed, the matter of Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame had not been resolved. Moreover, he did not know if the other party had any other moves. Saber returned to the factory with the security guards. Qin Haodong and Lin Momo were about to enter the factory when the cell phone in his pocket rang again. It was a call from Pan Gaofeng. Dr. Qin, how's the matter on your side? Director Pan, someone poisoned a patient who took the blood revival elixir and then used it to discredit the blood revival elixir. I've just dealt with it. It's all right, but I'm afraid that they have other dirty tricks. What the hell do these bastards want to do? Pan Gaofeng scolded angrily and said, Dr. Qin, let's solve the matter of Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame first. Director Ho and I are now at the Chinese Medicine Practitioner Association. Do you have time to come over? Okay, I'll be right there. Qin Haodong said goodbye to Lin Momo and drove directly to the Chinese Medicine Practitioner Association. When he arrived at the medicine testing room, Ho Weigua, Pan Gaofeng, and Gao Fengwen were all there. In front of them were several large and small pots filled with boiled medicine. Next to it were a few large roosters with their legs tied up. 3 of them were already dead, but the others were still alive and kicking. Seeing Qin Haodong enter the door, Pan Gaofeng said excitedly, "Dr. Qin, Mr. Gao has just carried out an experiment. According to Zhang Tianhe's prescription, the 3 kinds of medicinal liquids are highly toxic. They were poured into the 3 big roosters, and they all died after 5 minutes. This result really made him very happy. All 3 kinds of medicinal liquids were poisonous, which could fully prove that Zhang Tianhe had done it on purpose. As Qin Haodong had said, this was a naked murder. Gao Fengwen said, "President, I took out the medicine you said was incompatible with Aesculus septentrionalis and brewed it again. There was no problem with this medicine. It was completely a good medicine for curing diseases. After the roosters drank it, they didn't have any reaction. On the contrary, they were much more energetic than before." Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief and said, "This result is good. At least it proves that there is no problem with the Chinese medicine prescription. Zhang Tianhe used Chinese medicine to deliberately murder them." Ho Weigua said, "We have contacted the Jiangnan Public Security Bureau. The Municipal Bureau also attaches great importance to this case and handed it over to the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit. I believe that other strong evidence will soon be found." After this experiment, the case of the Hall of Medical Fame had a big turnaround. Ho Weigua and Pan Gaofeng rushed back to the Sanitary Bureau. They had to report the situation to their superiors as soon as possible. Qin Haodong left the Chinese Medicine Practitioner Association and went directly to the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit. When he arrived at Nalin Wuxia's office, he asked directly, "How is it? Do you have any clues?" Nalin Wuxia said, "We just conducted a serious and detailed interrogation on Yang Baozhong. Unfortunately, the other party's hands and feet are very clean. There are not many useful clues left. It is still very difficult to find out who is behind the scenes." Qin Haodong was not too surprised about this. The other party was very clever and would not give the game away on such a small matter. He asked again, "What about Zhang Tianhe's case? Have you found any suspicious points?" Nalin Wuxia said, "There must be some suspicious points. We just checked Zhang Tianhe's recent account. The day before the accident, there was a fund of $5 million in the account. The sender was Wang Desheng." Qin Haodong frowned. Wang Desheng gave Zhang Tianhe $5 million. Could it be that all this was planned by Wang Desheng? But the ultimate victim of this matter is the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. Isn't he destroying his own rice bowl? It doesn't make sense. You're right. This is just a suspicious point. It can't be used as a basis for speculating about the case, let alone as evidence. Nalin Wuxia said, "I just took someone to Zhang Tianhe's home and asked his wife Li Lizhen. We asked her why she was in a hurry to cremate Zhang Tianhe's body. What did she say? Could she have something to do with this case?" Qin Haodong asked. He felt that this was a suspicious point. It was very likely that Zhang Tianhe's body was hiding some secret. He even guessed that Zhang Tianhe was probably poisoned by the behind-the-scenes manipulator with genetic toxins. In this case, once the body was cremated, there would be no trace left. Nalin Wuxia said, "In the beginning, Li Lizhen said that she wanted Zhang Tianhe to be buried as soon as possible. Later, under our interrogation, she admitted that Wang Desheng gave her $5 million as a condition for her to cremate the body as soon as possible." Wang Desheng. Wang Desheng again. Qin Haodong couldn't help but wonder if all this was really planned by Wang Desheng. However, he had used mind manipulating to ask Wang Desheng. Wang Desheng had said that the reason why he had returned to invest in the traditional Chinese medicine industry was to make money and had no other purpose. What was going on? No, he had to find this guy and ask him face to face. Qin Haodong said to Nalin Wuxia, "Let's go to the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame and find Wang Desheng to ask about this." "Okay, I want to find him too. Naylan Wuxia and Qin Haodong left the crime squad together and went straight to the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. Wang Desheng was sitting in his office smoking. When he saw Qin Haodong and Naylan Wuxia appear on the computer monitor screen, he couldn't help but sneer. It was expected that these two people would come to him. After all, no matter how clean he was, he had to leave some doubts. For example, the fact that Zhang Tianhe was in a hurry to be cremated was bound to arouse others' suspicion. However, in his opinion, doubts were doubts. No matter how many doubts there were, they couldn't be used as evidence. It's useless for you to come. You're doomed to get no evidence, Wang Desheng said to himself. He put out the cigarette in his hand, then took out a small white pill from the drawer and threw it into his mouth. He quietly waited for the two people to come. After they entered the door, he stood up and said enthusiastically, "Dr. Qin, Officer Naylan, welcome." Naylan Wuxia said in a cold voice. "Wang Desheng, I came to you today because I have something to ask you." "Okay. I'm very willing to cooperate with the police." Wang Desheng didn't care about Naylan Wuxia's attitude. He still had a warm smile on his face. Naylan Wuxia asked, "On the day before Zhang Tianhe died, you transferred $5 million to his account. What's going on?" "You mean $5 million? That's normal. I signed a long-term contract with Zhang Tianhe. I originally wanted him to work for me, but I didn't expect that he would suddenly have a heart attack and die as soon as I paid the money. This is the worst deal I've ever made," Wang Desheng said as he took out a contract from the drawer and handed it to Naylan Wuxia. "Officer Naylan, take a look. This is the contract we signed. There's Zhang Tianhe's handprint on it." Naylan Wuxia looked through the contract. It was indeed the same as what Wang Desheng had said. She put down the contract and asked, "What about Zhang Tianhe's cremation? Why did you pay $5 million for Li Lizhen to cremate Zhang Tianhe's body? Was it to cover up something?" Chapter 341. "Yes, I'm trying to hide something." Wang Desheng glanced at Naylan Wuxia and said, "Think about it. I originally wanted to expand the traditional Chinese medicine industry, but a Chinese medicine practitioner died of a sudden heart attack before he could even take care of his body. If this gets out, it will definitely be negative news for our Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. So I wanted to deal with Zhang Tianhe's funeral as soon as possible to minimize the impact. That's why I agreed to give Li Lizhen 5 million yuan. Speaking of this, he laughed self-deprecatingly. "I didn't expect that I would make a loss the second time. As soon as I finished cremating his body, there was news that he had cured people to death. If I had known that he was such a quack, I wouldn't have spent 5 million yuan to protect his reputation. It would have been unnecessary." This, from the bottom of her heart. Wang Desheng's answer couldn't clear Naylan Wuxia's doubts about him, but she couldn't find any flaws for a while. "Let me ask." Qin Haodong directly used mind manipulating and asked, "Does Zhang Tianhe's death have anything to do with you?" "Of course not. How could I want him to die? If he died, I would have to pay a lot of money. Zhang Tianhe wrote those 3 prescriptions. Were you the one who instructed him to do so?" Wang Desheng said, "How could that be possible? First, I don't understand traditional Chinese medicine at all. Second, if he wrote the wrong prescriptions, it would damage the reputation of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. I wouldn't do such a stupid thing." Qin Haodong asked, "This morning, someone made trouble at Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. Did you instigate this?" Wang Desheng said, "I don't know. It has nothing to do with me. From the day you registered the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame, you let Che Xiaoxiao be the legal representative. Is there any conspiracy?" Wang Desheng shook his head and said, "No, I let Xiaoxiao be the legal representative because of my love for her. If the business of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame goes well, I will marry her later. Naturally, I will put the business under her name in advance." Qin Haodong asked, "Are you with Che Xiaoxiao because you love her or for other purposes?" "Of course, because I love her. She is the best woman in the world. I want to marry her." Qin Haodong turned around and said to Naylan Wuxia, "Let's go back." Although she was puzzled by Qin Haodong's question and decision, Naylan Wuxia didn't say anything and left Wang Desheng's office with him. After getting in the car, Qin Haodong said, "Do you think Wang Desheng's words are credible?" Nailan Wuxia thought for a moment and said, "Out of a woman's intuition, I always feel that he is not telling the truth. But out of trust in your interrogation skills, I don't think he would lie." Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "We were all deceived by him. What he said today was completely false." Nailan Wuxia asked in surprise, "Why? How could this be? It's impossible for a drug dealer to lie under your interrogation. How could he lie?" "I don't know the exact reason, but he must have some special way to avoid my mind manipulating." Qin Haodong said, "The reason why I asked him if he loved Che Xiaoxiao was to verify this. Did it turn out that he lied?" "What? Don't tell me you know that his love car Xiaoxiao is fake? Do you think it's true?" Qin Haodong said, "It's easy for a man to sleep with a woman, but it's very difficult for him to fall in love with a woman. Wang Desheng left Che Xiaoxiao alone in Huaxia for 5 years. When he came back, the first thing he did was to propose to Momo. After the proposal failed, he ran to Che Xiaoxiao the next day. Do you also think this can be true love?" Nailan Wuxia thought for a moment and said, "If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it. Not only does he not love Che Xiaoxiao, but it's probably a conspiracy to let Che Xiaoxiao be the legal representative. The purpose is to use Che Xiaoxiao as a shield for him and bear all legal responsibilities." Nailan Wuxia said, "This Che Xiaoxiao is so pitiful. There's no other way. She really loves Wang Desheng. No one can stop her." After a pause, Qin Haodong said, "Last time, because I blindly believed in the result of mind manipulating, I thought that there was someone else besides Wang Desheng who had mastered the gene toxin. Now it seems that there is no second person. The gene toxin in Jiangnan City is controlled by Wang Desheng alone. So I'm sure that Zhang Tianhe's death, and the people who made trouble at Tangmin Company today, have something to do with Wang Desheng. It's very likely that he's behind the scenes." Nailan Wuxia said, "What should we do? Should we go back, catch him, and interrogate him?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. We don't know how he dealt with my mind manipulating, but one thing is for sure. He must have been prepared. I'll find a suitable opportunity tomorrow to surprise him. Then I'll be able to get the truth out of him." Nailan Wuxia said eagerly, "Can't we sneak back now and make a surprise attack on him?" Qin Haodong said, "According to my understanding of him, it's very likely that he escaped mind manipulating with some special medicine. If we go back now, the effect of the medicine will not disappear. Not only will we not achieve the effect we want, but we will also alert the enemy." Nailan Wuxia said, "Well, let's wait for another day." Shortly after they left, Wang Desheng also left the Hall of Medical Fame and hurried back to his home. After entering the house, he locked the door and took out his cell phone to make a call. As soon as the phone was connected, a low voice said, "Wang, I heard that you sent people to Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company to make trouble today, but they failed?" Wang Desheng was secretly shocked. It seemed that the boss had other information channels in Huaxia, and someone might even be watching him. "Yes, boss. I originally wanted to discredit the blood revival elixir, but I didn't expect that Qin Haodong would see through it and save the poisoned people." The person on the other side said, "I've already said that you'd better not provoke Qin Haodong. Just get traditional Chinese medicine, according to the organization's plan. Isn't there a saying in Huaxia that the teeth are interdependent without the lips? If traditional Chinese medicine collapses, Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company will naturally collapse. No matter how capable Qin Haodong is, he can't make any waves." Knowing that the boss was dissatisfied with him, Wang Desheng quickly explained, "Boss, I thought that most of traditional Chinese medicine is supported by the blood revival elixir. If something happens to the blood revival elixir, it will definitely cause fatal damage to traditional Chinese medicine. That's why I took the risk, but I didn't expect to fail. Let's forget about it for now." The person on the other side of the phone said, "How is the implementation of your plan? You know, our company is losing a lot of money every day. We must destroy traditional Chinese medicine and the blood revival elixir as soon as possible." "Boss, the plan has been carried out for most of the time. Now we are finally at the cusp of the storm. Many people in Huaxia are already calling for the abolition of traditional Chinese medicine. According to my calculation, the people who took the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame will explode tomorrow. They will be the last straw that breaks the camel's back. Then I will launch the final blow, and traditional Chinese medicine will be completely finished. Well, do it as soon as possible. I've already prepared the red wine. I'm waiting to celebrate with you. Don't worry, boss. Wait for my good news tomorrow. After hanging up the phone, Wang Desheng poured a glass of red wine, drank it up and murmured, "Qin Haodong, I know you suspect me, but so what? You can't stop me. Tomorrow, you will be buried with traditional Chinese medicine." The next morning, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo sent the little fellow to kindergarten together. Sitting in the office, they were thinking about how to launch a surprise attack on Wang Desheng and find out the truth of the matter. At that moment, they received a call from Pan Gaofeng. "Haodong, come to Jiangnan Hospital quickly. Something big has happened." Pan Gaofeng's voice was full of unprecedented panic. "What happened? Director Pan?" Qin Haodong's heart suddenly sank. He had a hunch that it must have something to do with traditional Chinese medicine. Since last night, the entire Jiangnan city has received dozens of patients with liver disease. They have mild fever, vomiting, poisoning, and have fallen into hepatic coma. What's the cause? Pan Gaofeng said, "These people are all patients who took the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame. Before, they all had varying degrees of kidney disease. Now it is suspected that the treasure tablet for kidney caused serious liver damage." Treasure tablet for kidney? Liver damage? Qin Haodong suddenly thought of the 8 treasures kidney-nourishing pill that Xie Tian had sent. The treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame was probably made from that prescription. "I'm coming now." Qin Haodong hung up the phone and hurried to Jiangnan Hospital. When he arrived at the director's office, Pan Gaofeng was discussing something with the director, Wen Changjiang. Qin Haodong said, "Director Pan, what's going on?" Pan Gaofeng said with a serious expression, "Since last night, liver disease has broken out in the entire Jiangnan city. Jiangnan Hospital alone has received more than a dozen patients." Qin Haodong said, "Take me there." When Changjiang knew Qin Haodong's medical skills very well, he took him directly to a ward with severe liver disease. The patient was a middle-aged man in his 50s who had fallen into a hepatic coma. Qin Haodong first felt the patient's pulse, and then said to the middle-aged woman at the bedside, "Did the patient take the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame before?" The middle-aged woman said, "Yes, my husband had chronic nephritis before, so he bought the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame. After taking it, the effect was good. I didn't expect that he would suddenly get this disease. Is it related to the treasure tablet for kidney?" Qin Haodong said, "Did you bring the treasure tablet for kidney? Let me have a look." Yes. The woman hurriedly took out a box of the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame from the bedside drawer and handed it to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong first looked at the formula. There was no mistake. It was exactly the same as the 8 treasures kidney-nourishing pill that Xie Tian had taken out. Then he took out the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame, gently broke off a small piece with his fingers, and put it in his mouth. Soon he spat it out. He was sure that the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame and the 8 treasures kidney-nourishing pill were the same medicine. No wonder it could cause serious liver damage. "Dr. Qin, how is it? Is it the problem with this medicine?" Pan Gaofeng asked with concern. "It's this medicine. After taking it, it will cause serious liver damage. Someone once came to me with this prescription and wanted Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Factory to produce it, but I refused. I didn't expect it to be mass-produced by the Hall of Medical Fame and changed its name." Qin Haodong said to Pan Gaofeng, "Director Pan, you must immediately issue a notice to stop the sale and use of the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable." "Okay, I'll do it now," Pan Gaofeng said, and left the ward in a hurry. Such a big thing had happened. He needed to report it to the higher authorities, and then take measures quickly. Qin Haodong took out the needle bag and came to the patient's bed. The middle-aged woman had not figured out what Qin Haodong was doing. She asked nervously, "Young man, what are you going to do?" Chapter 342. When Chang Jiang hurriedly stepped forward and said, "I'm the director of Jiangnan Hospital. This is the best doctor in Jiangnan, Dr. Qin Haodong, who is known as the medical sage. He will definitely cure your man's illness." "Are you the Dr. Qin who invented the blood revival elixir?" the middle-aged woman asked. "Yes, that's me," Qin Haodong replied. "Dr. Qin, please save my man. He's just 50 years old this year. Don't worry, I'll definitely cure him." Time was running out. Qin Haodong quickly untied the middle-aged man's coat and began to insert needles. When he inserted more than a dozen golden needles into the man's chest, the door opened and Ho Weigua, the director of the Department of Sanity, hurried in. "Dr. Qin, I heard that you've seen this prescription. What's going on?" Qin Haodong inserted the last golden needle and told him about how Xie Tian had once sold the prescription to him. Finally, he said, "I repeatedly told Xie Tian not to use the prescription before it was completed. I didn't expect the Hall of Medical Fame to start mass production and change its name. This damn Hall of Medical Fame is simply making trouble for traditional Chinese medicine." After cursing, Ho Weigua asked again, "Now similar situations are happening in other cities. There will only be more and more patients. If this situation is allowed to continue, traditional Chinese medicine will be completely finished." After taking a breath, he asked eagerly, "Dr. Qin, do you have any good ideas?" "There is one way. Tell me quickly." Ho Weigua grabbed Qin Haodong's sleeve as if he was grasping the last straw. If this matter really worsened, and there were even cases of death, his position as the director of the Department of Sanity would come to an end. Qin Haodong said, "After reading the prescription of the 8 Treasures kidney-nourishing pill that day, I thought about how to remedy liver damage in my spare time. Later, I found an ancient prescription called the Great Liver Protecting Pill. This prescription has a very good effect on liver damage caused by the 8 Treasures kidney-nourishing pill. However, there are too many people who are sick now. I can't write a prescription alone. It's best to mass-produce this medicine." He had chosen this prescription from the ancient prescriptions of the cultivation world. It had a miraculous effect on liver damage. Originally, he had planned to start mass production later. He hadn't expected this situation to happen today, so he had to advance the plan. Ho Weigua was so excited that he almost jumped up and said, "Great, Dr. Qin, you are really my savior." Qin Haodong said, "But there is another problem. If you want to quantify the production, you have to go through a complicated approval process. It will take too long. I'm afraid it will be too late." "It doesn't matter. We can handle it." Ho Weigua calmed down and said, "Dr. Qin, how about this? Let's go in 2 steps. Test the prescription on a few patients, and then ask your Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company to speed up the production. Once the test is successful, I'll give you a special batch number, and you'll start selling it on the market immediately." Qin Haodong thought for a moment. This was indeed the best way at present. He said, "This is a good idea. It can shorten the time as much as possible." He wrote down the prescription of the Great Liver Protecting Pill and gave it to Wen Changjiang. He asked him to find someone to boil the medicine and test it on several patients. It was almost time. He turned around and took the golden needles out of the middle-aged man's chest. After taking out the golden needles, the middle-aged man woke up and slowly opened his eyes. "Thank you, Dr. Qin. Thank you so much." The middle-aged woman was grateful and thanked Qin Haodong again and again. "Let the patient have a good rest. I'll go first." Qin Haodong was anxious to deal with the production of the Great Liver Protecting Pill. He said goodbye to Ho Weigua, left Jiangnan Hospital, and returned to Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. Back in the president's office, Qin Haodong briefly introduced the situation and said, "Momo, stop the production of the blood revival pill immediately and arrange people to purchase the medicinal materials. The first batch of Great Liver Protecting Pill must be produced by tomorrow morning." Lin Momo also realized the seriousness of the situation. She called Lu Yage and immediately entered a tense state of busyness. It had to be said that under the leadership of Qin Haodong, Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company's execution was very strong. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the medicinal materials for the production of the Great Liver Protecting Pill had been purchased and entered the production state. He breathed a sigh of relief and sat on the sofa to have a rest. But at that moment, the phone rang again. It was Gao Fengwen. After answering the phone, Gao Fengwen said in a hurry, "President, something big happened. Wang Desheng just held a press conference on behalf of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame." Qin Haodong was not too worried when he heard the news. He grabbed the glass of water on the table and took a sip. Then he said, "Such a big thing happened. It's normal for the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame to hold a press conference to explain." Gao Fengwen said angrily, "But Wang Desheng didn't speak the human language at all. He put all the blame on traditional Chinese medicine." "What? Is that true? Let me see." Qin Haodong hung up the phone, grabbed the laptop on the table, and opened the official website of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. On the homepage, the video file of the press conference was playing. After receiving the news that the treasure tablet for kidney had caused many people to be hospitalized, Che Xiaoxiao hurriedly found Wang Desheng. "Desheng, such a big thing happened. What should we do? Where did you get the formula? How could it cause so much damage to the liver?" Wang Desheng was calm and not worried at all. He said slowly, "Xiaoxiao, why are you worried? It's not a big deal. Every medicine has side effects. Don't worry too much." Che Xiaoxiao said eagerly, "But now the Sanitary Bureau has informed us to stop production and sales. Now there is a lot of noise on the internet. They all say that what we are producing is not a cure but a poison." Wang Desheng said, "It's okay. Stop production first. Everyone should rest for a few days. Our medicine has been approved, so we will definitely resume production in a few days. As for those people on the internet, we will hold a press conference in the afternoon and explain to them." "Well, will this work?" Che Xiaoxiao asked worriedly. "Of course." Wang Desheng patted Che Xiaoxiao's cheek and said, "Don't be afraid. Let me handle it. Let me shelter you from the wind and rain." "All right then." Che Xiaoxiao hugged Wang Desheng tightly and put her face on his chest. She finally felt a little safe. "Desheng, thank you. It's so good to have you. What are you talking about? The Hall of Medical Fame is our common cause. Although there has been a little setback, the future will definitely be good." On the internet, news about the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame had occupied the headlines and hot searches of major portals. All kinds of news emerged one after another. Everyone was also guessing what had happened to the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame. Why had so many people been hospitalized? Therefore, when they received the news that the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame was going to hold a press conference, reporters from all the major media swarmed in. They all wanted to get first-hand information and filled the venue of the Hall of Medical Fame. After the press conference began, Wang Desheng didn't let Che Xiaoxiao host, or even let her go on the stage. He sat alone on the rostrum. After the press conference officially began, Wang Desheng smiled and said to the audience, "Everyone, I know why you are here. If you have any questions, just ask." Seeing his attitude, a reporter took the lead to ask, "Mr. Wang, the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame has caused serious damage to the liver. Now dozens of patients have been hospitalized. Do you know about this?" Wang Desheng smiled more happily and said, "Of course I know. Otherwise, why would I hold a press conference?" The reporter said angrily, "Mr. Wang, since the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame has caused such serious consequences, why don't I see any apology from you? Don't you feel guilty? Don't you think you should apologize to the patients who have been hurt by the treasure tablet for kidney?" "Guilty? Apologize?" As if he had heard the funniest joke, Wang Desheng said with extreme disdain, "Why should I apologize? The treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame has been approved by the state. The state has approved the production and sale of it. I am willing to sell it, and you are willing to buy it. What does it have to do with me if there is a problem?" After he said this, There was an immediate uproar. Fortunately, most of the people who came were media reporters, and there were no family members of the patients. Otherwise, the order of the scene would be out of control. Che Xiaoxiao frowned. She didn't know what Wang Desheng was going to do. Why did he say that? However, since the press conference was hosted by Wang Desheng, she naturally couldn't say anything. At this time, another reporter asked, "Mr. Wang, I want to ask, who do you think is mainly responsible for the hospitalization of the patients with the treasure tablet for kidney? Does it have nothing to do with the Hall of Medical Fame?" "Of course it has nothing to do with me. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame traditional Chinese medicine." Since everyone was listening to him, Wang Desheng continued. "For example, a farmer bought a corn seed and planted it home. It took root and sprouted. When it matured, it was sold on the market. Some people ate the corn produced by him and vomited, and had diarrhea. Who do you think should be blamed for this? The farmer? What does it have to do with the farmer? In the same way, I, Wang Desheng, am just a businessman. According to the prescription of traditional Chinese medicine, I produced the famous Hall of Medical Fame's treasure tablet for kidney. I didn't invent this prescription. What does it have to do with me?" After another uproar, another reporter rushed to ask, "Mr. Wang, do you mean that the main responsibility for this accident is not you, but traditional Chinese medicine?" Wang Desheng said, "That goes without saying. Obviously, the prescription of traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific. I produced it strictly according to the prescription. What do you think it has to do with me if there is a problem with the produced medicine?" "Mr. Wang, it seems that you don't believe in traditional Chinese medicine at all. Since you don't believe in traditional Chinese medicine, why do you want to engage in the traditional Chinese medicine industry?" Wang Desheng smiled and said, "To tell you the truth, I am a highly educated person. After graduating from college, I went to country for further study for 5 years. As far as I know, traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific at all. Its system has not been verified by any medical science, but some people like to believe it. This time, I came back to engage in the traditional Chinese medicine industry from the perspective of a businessman to make money. Who knew that traditional Chinese medicine would be so disappointing? The first product had such a problem. I can only blame myself for choosing such an unscientific traditional Chinese medicine industry in the wrong direction." Che Xiaoxiao's face was already very ugly. She hadn't expected Wang Desheng to choose this way to shirk responsibility and put all the blame on traditional Chinese medicine. Another reporter asked, "Mr. Wang, you said that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific. Why did the blood revival elixir produced by Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company cure so many leukemia patients?" Chapter 343. Wang Desheng sneered and said, "You mean the blood revival elixir? As far as I know, many people attacked Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company yesterday. I heard that the blood revival elixir killed people. I don't want to comment too much on whether it's true or not, but there is no scientific basis for traditional Chinese medicine. It may be fine today, but who knows what will happen tomorrow. I don't care if you believe in traditional Chinese medicine or not. I only take Western medicine when I'm sick. I only believe in Western medicine. I never see traditional Chinese medicine, let alone take traditional Chinese medicine. Mr. Wang, I want to ask if your company is going to compensate these patients who were hospitalized because they took the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame? Why should I compensate them? Why should I compensate them?" Wang Desheng patted the table and said confidently, "I didn't force them to buy the treasure tablet for kidney. Since they are stupid enough to believe in traditional Chinese medicine and buy it, how can I be blamed for what happened? They can only blame themselves for being stupid. To be honest, I really don't understand the IQ of these people. Zhang Tianhe of the Hall of Medical Fame killed 3 people a few days ago, but they still chose to believe in traditional Chinese medicine and continue to take the treasure tablet for kidney. How can they blame me for what happened?" After he said this, the reporters on the scene were a little confused. It was understandable that Wang Desheng chose to make traditional Chinese medicine a scapegoat, But wasn't this completely destroying his own job? After today's press conference, the Hall of Medical Fame would close down. Another reporter asked, Mr. Wang, do you mean that the Hall of Medical Fame has no responsibility for this incident? Wang Desheng smiled and said, Of course not. If you want to blame someone, blame traditional Chinese medicine. From a personal point of view, I suggest that Huaxia abolishes traditional Chinese medicine. It is not scientific at all. Sooner or later, people will die. There was another uproar below the stage. If someone in the traditional Chinese medicine industry suggested to abolish traditional Chinese medicine, it would definitely cause a great disturbance throughout Huaxia. Wang Desheng smiled proudly. After the audience quieted down a little, he said, That's all I'll answer today. The press conference is over. Then he turned and walked backstage. Many reporters wanted to ask more questions, but they were stopped by the security guards of the venue. Che Xiaoxiao quickly caught up with Wang Desheng and said anxiously, Desheng, how could you do this? Wang Desheng looked at her and said with a smile, What's wrong? Xiaoxiao, what do you think I did wrong? Che Xiaoxiao said, How can you put all the blame on traditional Chinese medicine? This means that our Hall of Medical Fame is irresponsible and will make us close down. Wang Desheng said, What do you think I should do? Compensation. Apologize. That's the right attitude to handle things. Then what? Didn't they still have to close down? Wang Desheng patted Che Xiaoxiao on the shoulder and said, This matter is too big. How much would it cost to compensate for it? The best thing to do now is to give them the cold shoulder and let them cause a ruckus. But Che Xiaoxiao felt that this was absolutely wrong, but she couldn't convince Wang Desheng at the moment. Okay, I'll stay here. You go and take a look at the Chinese medicine factory. If I'm not wrong, the health bureau will come and seize us soon. All right then. Che Xiaoxiao's face was full of helplessness as she turned around and left the Hall of Medical Fame. Looking at her back, a trace of guilt flashed across Wang Desheng's face. Then he murmured, Xiaoxiao, don't blame me. Blame yourself for being too stupid. Then he returned to his office and told the secretary not to disturb him. Then he slammed the door. Jiangnan Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. After watching Wang Desheng's press conference, Qin Haodong was so angry that his eyes were on fire. This damn thing obviously wanted to kill traditional Chinese medicine. At this time his cell phone rang. It was Ho Weiguo. Haodong, did you watch the press conference of the Hall of Medical Fame? I just watched it. Wang Desheng didn't just shift the blame to others. He wanted to kill traditional Chinese medicine. I guess he was the mastermind behind all this. After saying this, Qin Haodong's mind suddenly became clear. Wang Desheng's purpose in returning to China this time was not to develop the traditional Chinese medicine industry, but to destroy traditional Chinese medicine. The Hall of Medical Fame was a tool for him to destroy traditional Chinese medicine. That was why he made Che Xiaoxiao the legal representative of the company. The purpose of producing the treasure tablet for kidney was to cause a huge negative impact on traditional Chinese medicine and make all Huaxia people no longer believe in traditional Chinese medicine. I really don't know what Wang Desheng was thinking. As a Huaxia person, he did this kind of thing. This time, the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame has caused a huge blow to the traditional Chinese medicine industry. Now the voice of abolishing traditional Chinese medicine is getting louder and louder. If this matter is not properly handled, it will be really troublesome. After taking a breath, he said, Fortunately, you've made a great contribution this time. After giving several patients your great liver-protecting pills, their conditions have improved significantly. I've asked the Ministry of Health for permission, and now you can quantify the production. Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company has already started production. Tomorrow morning, the first batch of great liver-protecting pills will be sold on the market. In order to calm this storm, I decided to sell it for free for the time being. Ho Weiguo was moved and said, That's great, Dr. Qin. I thank you on behalf of these patients. I also thank you on behalf of traditional Chinese medicine. You're welcome. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. It's my duty to do something for traditional Chinese medicine. Qin Haodong suddenly thought of a question and asked, Director Ho, The treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame has such a strong side effect. How did they get the approval? Ho Weigua said. I just realized this problem and sent someone to check. The Hall of Medical Fame didn't get the approval at all. The treasure tablet for kidney is completely illegal. From a legal point of view, they are selling fake medicine. There was no approval. Qin Haodong was shocked. If they were really selling fake medicine, as the legal representative of the Hall of Medical Fame, Che Xiaoxiao would definitely not be able to escape a heavy punishment. She might even be sentenced to death. At this time, he realized how insidious Wang Desheng was. He had put the blame on Che Xiaoxiao early. Ho Weigua said, there was no approval. Our sanitary bureau will immediately investigate the Hall of Medical Fame's traditional Chinese medicine factory together with the Public Security Bureau. Director Ho, I want to go with you. Qin Haodong hung up the phone and drove straight to the Hall of Medical Fame's traditional Chinese medicine factory. As soon as he parked the car, a team of police cars and the Sanitary Bureau's law enforcement car drove in. Naylan Wuxia led the Public Security Bureau's team, and Pan Gaofeng led the Sanitary Bureau's team. After greeting each other, they entered the gate of the traditional Chinese medicine factory together. Hearing the noise, Che Xiaoxiao immediately came out. Looking at the haggard girl, Qin Haodong sighed secretly. This woman who was obsessed with love had become Wang Desheng's scapegoat. Naylan Wuxia stepped forward and said, Che Xiaoxiao, as the legal representative of the Hall of Medical Fame, your company is suspected of producing fake medicine. Now we are arresting and investigating you. Che Xiaoxiao said with a shocked face. Officer Naylan, I admit that there's something wrong with my medicine, but how can it be possible that I produce fake medicine? My medicine has been approved. It's produced legally. How can it be fake medicine? Pan Gaofeng said, show me your approval documents. Che Xiaoxiao seemed to be prepared. She turned around and took out a stack of approval documents from her bag and handed them to Pan Gaofeng. After carefully examining them, Pan Gaofeng said, your approval documents are fake. They are not real documents at all. Fake? That's impossible. Desheng gave them to me. He said that he used a lot of connections to get the approval. Pan Gaofeng shook his head and said, I can tell you responsibly that this is a fake approval document. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Desheng wouldn't lie to me. Pan Gaofeng said seriously. As the director of the Sanitary Bureau, I inform you that your documents are fake. Fake? Did Desheng lie to me? Why would he lie to me? Che Xiaoxiao's face suddenly darkened. Her eyes were filled with disappointment and silence. She stood there like a wooden sculpture. Even when she was handcuffed, she did not respond. The factory was completely closed down. Che Xiaoxiao was taken to the crime squad. Qin Haodong said to Naylan Wuxia, no, I have to go to Wang Desheng. This time, I have to find out the truth no matter what. I'll go with you. Naylan Wuxia and Qin Haodong went to the Hall of Medical Fame together. However, after knocking on the door of Wang Desheng's office for a long time, there was no response. Is Wang Desheng not here? Naylan Wuxia asked the little secretary next to her. The little secretary said, he should be here. President Wang went back to his room after the press conference. He hasn't come out. Feeling that something was wrong, Qin Haodong directly broke the door lock. The two pushed the door open and walked in. The room was empty. After searching for a long time, they did not see Wang Desheng. At this time, Qin Haodong saw a note on the boss's desk. He picked it up and saw a few lines written on it. Qin Haodong, I knew you would come to me, but it's too late. Although you are very capable, so what? In the end, you were defeated by me. The purpose of my return this time is to destroy the traditional Chinese medicine company you manage. Now it seems that the effect is good. I believe that Huaxia will soon publish the regulations restricting traditional Chinese medicine. Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company will be buried together with traditional Chinese medicine if the station restricts traditional Chinese medicine. The game is over. I'm leaving. Come to M Country when you have time. I'll buy you a drink. By the way, don't try to find me for the time being. You can't find me. Nalan Wuxia also saw the note in Qin Haodong's hand and said angrily, "That bastard, he ran away." Qin Haodong sneered and said, "The game is not over yet. He can't run away." At Jiangnan Airport, Qin Haodong parked the car and walked to the airport hall with Nalan Wuxia. At this time, a passenger plane just landed, and the passengers walked out of the exit. Among the crowd, a tall and enchanting woman looked particularly eye-catching. Several pretentious men came forward to talk to her, but the woman refused them all without hesitation. Just as many male creatures kept swallowing, they saw the woman walk forward quickly and throw herself into the arms of a young and handsome man. What surprised people the most was that there was a very beautiful policewoman standing next to the man, who was no less beautiful than the woman. The enchanting woman was Hu Shaoxian, who had just gotten off the plane. She held Qin Haodong's arm tightly, and her two peaks were pressed tightly. She said in a sweet voice, "Little man, are you here to pick me up? How did you know I would come back today?" Qin Haodong had come to find Wang Deshang, but he did not expect to meet Hu Shaoxian here. He withdrew his arm with a little embarrassment and said, "Well, I came to the airport to find someone. I thought you came to pick me up. I was happy for nothing." Hu Shaoxian did not let go and said, "You came to find Wang Deshang, right?" Qin Haodong asked in surprise, "How do you know?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "Of course I know. That guy has turned traditional Chinese medicine upside down. You can't let him run away. Just tell me, right?" Chapter 344. Qin Haodong thought to himself, "People say that women with big breasts have no brains. It seems that there are exceptions. This woman is obviously a typical negative example. She is as beautiful as a fox, but as smart as a little fox. Nothing can escape her eyes. You're right. We're here for Wang Deshang. I'll go with you. I'm very familiar with the airport. I can help you." Hu Shaoxian was a member of the special department. She was connected to many aspects, especially the airport. "Well, let's go together," Qin Haodong said. He stretched out his fingers and calculated, then walked in one direction. Hu Shaoxian said, "What are you doing? Do you have to rely on fortune-telling to catch people? You'll know in a minute." As they spoke, the three of them arrived at the VIP passage. Hu Shaoxian said hello to the head of security here, and the three of them entered the VIP passage together. In the VIP lounge, a middle-aged man in his 50s was sitting on the sofa, drinking coffee and reading a newspaper. He was dressed in an expensive suit and had an elegant demeanor. He looked like a successful man. He raised his left hand and looked at the million-yuan Rolex watch on his wrist. He couldn't help but smile proudly. In 10 minutes, he would completely leave Huaxia. Just then, he saw the three people coming in through the door. His expression suddenly changed slightly, and he hid his whole face behind the newspaper. Qin Haodong and the other two went straight to the middle-aged man and said with a playful expression, "Wang Deshang, you didn't expect that we would meet again so soon, did you?" The middle-aged man slowly put down the newspaper in his hand. He looked at Qin Haodong and the other two strangely and said, "Little brother, are you talking to me?" After seeing the man's appearance, Nalan Wuxia whispered, "Haodong, you're not mistaken, are you?" Qin Haodong said without hesitation, "I'm not mistaken. He's Wang Deshang." "What are you talking about? I don't know you, and I don't know Wang Deshang." The middle-aged man took out his ticket and ID card. "My name is Martin, and I'm from M country. Don't harass me, or I'll call security." Qin Haodong sneered and said, "Wang Deshang, you're really boring." He grabbed the middle-aged man's collar and lifted him up from the sofa. He tore off his shirt and rubbed it on his chest. Then, he tore off a mask from his face. After the mask was removed, Wang Deshang's handsome face was revealed, but it looked a little pale at the moment. Hu Shaoxian took the mask from Qin Haodong's hand and praised, "It's really good. I didn't know it was fake." Qin Haodong said, "This is made with the latest nanomaterials and 3D technology. Skin the mask is much more advanced. Most people wouldn't be able to tell." After that, he looked at Wang Deshang again. "What do you think? The game wasn't over yet. Aren't you surprised?" Wang Deshang asked. "How did you find me?" Well, I'm in a good mood now, so I'll satisfy your curiosity. Qin Haodong said, I suspected you when I came out of the Jiangnan crime squad last time. Remember when I patted you on the shoulder? At that time, I used a little trick on you. I can find you no matter where you hide within 1,000 miles. It turned out that when Qin Haodong patted Wang Desheng on the shoulder that day, he secretly put a talisman on him. This was a tracking talisman specially used to find people. When Wang Desheng disappeared, Qin Haodong activated the talisman, so he rushed to the airport with Nalan Wuxia as soon as possible. It was also because of the talisman that he knew without looking that the middle-aged man was Wang Desheng in disguise. Wang Desheng's face was gray. He said in frustration, Well, you're better than me. Then, he took a handkerchief out of his pocket and raised his hand to wipe the corners of his mouth. However, as soon as his wrist was raised, Qin Haodong grabbed it. An imperceptible panic flashed in Wang Desheng's eyes. Then he shouted angrily, You've won. What else do you want? Qin Haodong smiled and pinched Wang Desheng's palm. There was a small white pill in his palm. He took the pill and looked at it. Then he said, Is this the secret you used to deceive me twice? Wang Desheng's face was completely disappointed. He didn't expect that everything about him would be uncovered by the man in front of him. Not only did he find his whereabouts, but he also knew the secret of the pill. Qin Haodong reached out and poked Wang Desheng's clavicle acupoint. This time, Wang Desheng couldn't move his arms. Then he checked Wang Desheng's mouth. After making sure there were no poisonous teeth, he took Wang Desheng to an empty room. This was also the room that Hu Shaoxian had asked for from the head of security. It was very quiet, and no one would disturb them. Entering the room, Qin Haodong said to Wang Desheng, It's time to solve some secrets. Tell me, who's your boss? What's your purpose in coming to Huaxia? As he spoke, he used mind manipulating again. This time, without the obstruction of the pill, Wang Desheng's eyes flashed with confusion. Then he said, Davis from Wilson Company asked me to come. The blood revival elixir you developed seriously hindered our way of making money. He tried several times but failed to overthrow you or get the formula. So he thought of killing the chicken before killing the egg. Traditional Chinese medicine is the chicken, and your traditional Chinese medicine company is just an egg. As long as traditional Chinese medicine collapses, your company will naturally be finished. According to the task he gave me, when I return to Huaxia this time, I will first set up a traditional Chinese medicine organization. When it becomes famous, I will create negative news and bring down traditional Chinese medicine. Damn Wilson Company! Qin Haodong cursed angrily. Then he asked, What happened to Zhang Guoyang's death? 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong got all the secrets out of Wang Desheng, including Zhang Guoyang's family secret formula of Jiubao kidney nourishing pill, and how Zhang Tianhe had died. This included how Wang Desheng had planned to discredit traditional Chinese medicine, and how he had premeditated to register Che Xiaoxiao as a legal person to take the bullet for him. Qin Haodong asked again, There's one thing I don't understand. You are the young master of the Wang family. Why didn't you become a rich young master instead of a dog for Davis? Wang Desheng said, I had no choice. I had a car accident in M country, which caused serious damage to my heart. Later, I replaced it with the latest artificial heart developed by Wilson Company. Since then, my life has been in the hands of Davis. If he wanted to, he could stop my heart at any time. I had no choice but to join the current organization. Organization? What organization did you join? Isn't it Wilson Company? Wang Desheng shook his head and said, The organization is very, very powerful. It's more powerful than you can imagine. Davis and I are both small members of the organization, but his level is a little higher than mine. Qin Haodong was slightly shocked. He hadn't expected such a powerful organization to exist. He asked, What does your organization do? What's its name? Wang Desheng said, I don't know. The organization is too mysterious. People at my level don't deserve to know its name, let alone know what the organization does. I just need to follow the orders of the organization. Qin Haodong turned to look at Hu Shaoxian and asked, Do you know such an organization? Hu Shaoxian shook her head and said, It's the first time I've heard of it. After that, Qin Haodong asked a few more questions, but he didn't get any more answers. Qin Haodong's anger, which had been suppressed in his heart for many days, finally broke out. He first removed the mind-manipulating, then raised his hand and slapped Wang Desheng in the face. Although Qin Haodong didn't use his internal strength, Wang Desheng was whipped into the air like a spinning top. He hit the wall behind him and fell to the ground with a thud. "Bastard, this is for traditional Chinese medicine." After cursing, Qin Haodong kicked Wang Desheng's lower abdomen again. He kicked Wang Desheng to the ceiling like a ball, and then fell to the ground again. "Son of a bitch, this is for Che Xiaoxiao." In less than 5 minutes, Qin Haodong's punches and kicks had turned Wang Desheng from a handsome young man into a pig's head that even his mother couldn't recognize. His eyes were red and swollen, and the corners of his mouth were bleeding. It was a horrible sight. Wang Desheng's clavicle acupoint was restricted, so he couldn't even raise his hand to wipe the blood from the corners of his mouth. However, he was still tough. He looked at Qin Haodong and said, "Kill me if you can." "According to what you've done, it's not a pity to die 100 times. But you can't die now. You have to make up for what you've done." Qin Haodong took out a rope and tied Wang Desheng up like a dog. He pulled him out of the airport and into Nalin Wuxia's business car. After getting in the car, Qin Haodong quickly dialed Lin Momo's number and briefly introduced Wang Desheng's situation. Then he said, "Inform all the major media immediately. There will be a press conference in the conference room of Tangmin Company in 2 hours. I'll give them an explanation about all the recent events of traditional Chinese medicine." Lin Momo said, "That's great. Then Xiaoxiao will be saved. I'll send the notice now." Qin Haodong hung up the phone and drove straight to Jiangnan City. Lin Momo said, "Haodong, fortunately you reacted fast enough. If Wang Desheng really ran away, things would be really difficult to deal with." Qin Haodong was not so relaxed. He said seriously, "I didn't expect that there was such an organization behind Davis. If we don't uproot this organization, there will be a lot of trouble in the future." Wang Desheng said, "Qin Haodong, stop dreaming. The power of the organization is beyond your imagination. If I can't get better, you can't either." After saying that, he laughed crazily. "Boy, how dare you threaten my man? You'd better think about how to eat in prison." Hu Xiaoxian said as she directly used a rope to strangle Wang Desheng's mouth. The car quickly left the airport and drove onto the road back to Jiangnan City. This was a separate road connecting the airport and the city, so there were not many vehicles coming and going. Suddenly, a large van drove over, and then suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. Then, there was another ear-piercing screech of brakes coming from behind. Another van blocked the road behind them. 2 large vans divided the road into a dead end, blocking Qin Haodong's business car in the middle. "It's dangerous. Get out of the car," Qin Haodong said as he grabbed Wang Desheng, kicked the door open and jumped out. Nalin Wuxia and Hu Xiaoxian followed him. As soon as they jumped out of the car, there was a burst of dense bullets behind them. The business car was hit like a beehive. Fortunately, they were extremely fast. Before the other side adjusted the direction of the fire, they jumped into a small forest on the side of the road and hid themselves. At this time, more than a dozen gunmen in black jumped out of the van and quickly surrounded them while shooting. Nalin Wuxia pulled out the pistol from her waist and began to fight back. However, the firepower was so fierce that she couldn't raise her head for a while. Chapter 345. Qin Haodong guessed that these people were here for Wang Desheng. As long as he was killed, the current dilemma of traditional Chinese medicine would be unsolvable. He hid Wang Desheng behind a big tree, and then looked back at the men in black. These people wore black clothes and black pants and black hoods, covering their heads from head to toe. Each of them had an AK in their hands. They were shooting wildly at Qin Haodong, and the bullets hit the bark of the tree. Qin Haodong observed the direction of the wind and found that he was in the limelight. He took out an ecstasy pill from his pocket and crushed it gently. This pill was also strange. It was a black pill when it was intact, but once it was crushed, it immediately turned into invisible powder in the air. and drifted with the wind toward the men in black. Originally, the men in black were fighting excitedly with their AKs and quickly moved towards the small forest. But suddenly, as if they were drunk, they fell to the ground one after another. Nalan Wuxia was originally angry with these men in black. Even though her marksmanship was excellent, a pistol could do nothing against so many AKs. At this time, seeing these people fall to the ground, she immediately raised her pistol and shot them, killing them all with one shot. No wonder she wanted to kill them. At this time, it was either you die or I die. No one knew when these people would get up again. Once these people completed the encirclement, the three of them would definitely die. After all the gunmen were killed, the three of them breathed a sigh of relief. Hu Shaoxian said in a sweet voice, "Little man, how did you do it? I love you so much." "Nothing, I just used a little medicine." Qin Haodong threw 2 small pills to Hu Shaoxian and Nalan Wuxia. "This is the antidote for the ecstasy pill. You take it first. So that's how it is. No wonder I feel dizzy." Hu Shaoxian put the pill into her sexy little mouth and swallowed it. Although she and Nalan Wuxia had entered the threshold of covert power, the ecstasy pill could not make them faint immediately, but it would always slow down their reaction speed and make them feel uncomfortable. Qin Haodong reached out and grabbed Wang Deshang. He walked out from behind the tree and stepped in front of the men in black. Nalan Wuxia stepped forward and pulled off the hood of a man in black, revealing a white face. It seemed that these people were sent by Wilson Company from M Country. Hu Shaoxian said, "These people are here to kill Wang Deshang." Qin Haodong said, "That should be the case. As long as Wang Deshang is killed, many cases involving traditional Chinese medicine will become dead. It will be even more difficult for traditional Chinese medicine to clear its name." At this moment, a round of applause came from the side. "That's right. We're here to kill Wang Deshang. But I have to add one more thing. The 3 of you will die as well." Qin Haodong and the other 2 immediately looked in the direction of the sound and saw 3 people coming from the back of the truck. The first one was a woman with purple hair, followed by 2 men. This woman was a typical Western Caucasian woman. She was more than 180 meters tall, but she also had 2 super big peaks on her chest and a big bulging butt behind her. She was very sexy. One of the 2 men behind her was tall and strong, weighing 150 kilograms. With the thick hair unique to Westerners, he looked like a walking giant bear. The other one was much more normal. He was about 175 meters tall and thin, but his eyes were as sharp as a wolf's. All 3 of them were unarmed, but they gave Qin Haodong and the others a great sense of danger. Nalan Wuxia immediately raised the pistol in her hand, pointed it at the 3 men and asked, "Who are you? What are you doing here? Put down the toy in your hand." "It doesn't work on us," the tall woman said. "But I'm willing to answer your question. I'm Terminator number 1. She pointed to the tall man next to her and said, "He's Terminator number 2. You can guess the last one. He's Terminator number 3. "Terminator?" Hu Shaoxian looked at the tall woman with a charming smile and said, "Have you watched too many Hollywood movies? You're not going to tell me that you're from the future, are you?" The tall woman laughed and said, "It doesn't matter whether we're from the future or not. Our mission is to end your lives. You'll know how powerful we are in a moment." Qin Haodong said, "You think too much. Huaxia is not a place where you can come." The tall woman said, "You don't understand our strength, Huaxia people. Now we're going to carry out the first task, to end the life of this loser." As she spoke, she looked sharply at Wang Deshang next to her. Under the gaze of the tall woman, Wang Deshang seemed to have felt the breath of death. He cried in horror, "No, you can't kill me. I've tried my best. You can't do this." Qin Haodong took a step forward and protected Wang Deshang behind him. He said, "This man deserves to die, but not now. He's still useful to us." "You're wrong. He must die and now." The tall woman winked at Qin Haodong, then took out a black remote control from her pocket and pressed a red button on it with her thumb. A great sense of crisis came. Qin Haodong immediately realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly shouted to Nalan Wuxia and Hu Shaoxian, "Run, there's a bomb." After saying that, he leaped and hid in a small ditch at the side. Hearing his shout, Nalan Wuxia and Hu Shaoxian did not hesitate and immediately dodged to both sides. At the same time, there was a loud bang where Wang Desheng was, and a huge wave of air mixed with flesh and blood swept out in all directions. When the three of them got up from the ground and looked back, the place where Wang Desheng had just stood had become a huge deep pit. Wang Desheng had become minced meat all over the ground. Not even a complete bone was left, which showed the power of the bomb. Qin Haodong was very upset. He hadn't expected that these people had installed a bomb in Wang Desheng's body. The tall woman seemed to see through his mind. She laughed and said, "You didn't expect it, did you? The heart installed in his body is actually a bomb. The organization needs him to beat normally when he is alive. Now that the organization doesn't need him alive, he must be killed immediately. Well, now that the first task is completed, the second task is to end the lives of the three of you." Then she smiled at Qin Haodong and said, "Huaxia man, you are really handsome. Let me end your life." As she spoke, she twisted her sexy body and slowly walked toward Qin Haodong. At the same time, Terminator number 2 rushed to Nalan Wuxia, and Terminator number 3 rushed to Hu Shaoxian. Qin Haodong frowned slightly. He couldn't see any warrior's aura from the tall woman in front of him, but she gave him a great sense of threat. "Huaxia man, let me break your neck," the tall woman said. She stretched out her white and tender arms and grabbed Qin Haodong's neck. The speed of this claw didn't seem to be fast, but when it approached Qin Haodong's neck, the arm suddenly became much longer. The hand also turned into a sharp claw and grabbed Qin Haodong's throat. It came so suddenly that an ordinary person would have been killed by this claw. Fortunately, Qin Haodong had rich combat experience and had always been on guard throughout the city. He slightly leaned to one side and dodged the attack. Then he suddenly punched the woman in the chest. "Huaxia man, do you like it here too?" the tall woman shouted. She did not avoid the punch at all, but directly met the towering mountain. With a muffled bang, Qin Haodong's punch solidly hit the elastic mountain peak. However, the tall woman's body twisted strangely, which dissolved most of the force of his punch. She stepped back a few steps and did not suffer much damage. Qin Haodong was slightly surprised. Although he only used 50% of his strength in this punch, it was enough to break the stone, but it was so easily resolved by the woman. "How about it? Huaxia man, does it feel good? Do you want to touch it again?" the tall woman said and raised a long leg, which was like a long whip, to Qin Haodong's head. Her legs had the same function as her arms. They could be long or short, and it was impossible to defend against them when she attacked. Qin Haodong moved his feet and came behind the tall woman. He used a small grappling hand to grab the tall woman's arms. If it was an ordinary person, this move was enough to subdue her, but the tall woman's arms seemed to be dislocated and were not restricted by the grappling hand at all. Her body twisted at a strange angle. She opened her mouth, and her scarlet tongue shot at Qin Haodong's throat like a javelin. "What the hell is this monster?" Qin Haodong hurriedly stepped back, and at the same time, he kicked the tall woman's butt, kicking her 7 or 8 meters away. "Huaxia man, I didn't expect you to have some skills." The tall woman put her javelin-like tongue back in her mouth, licked her scarlet lips and said coquettishly, "How about it? Is it fun?" In the face of such a monster, Qin Haodong naturally did not hold back and slapped the tall woman in the face. In the face of such a blow, the tall woman did not avoid it. She stretched out her sharp claws like steel knives to grab Qin Haodong's heart. Qin Haodong leaned to one side and avoided the claws. At the same time, he kept his palm and slapped the tall woman's cheek hard. A strange scene happened. After the tall woman's head was slapped, she spun 3 times like a top, but her body did not move at all. This kind of rotation offloaded Qin Haodong's palm force, and then her head turned back and soon returned to normal. However, this seemed to make the tall woman very uncomfortable. She said angrily, "Huaxia man, you have angered me." With that, she waved her 2 sharp claws and rushed to Qin Haodong again. While they were fighting, the other 4 people were also fighting. The tall Terminator number 2 was like a giant bear. He was not only powerful but also had amazing defense. Hu Shaoxian, who had reached the 5th level of covert power, was forced to retreat after a few moves with him. What a monster! Hu Shaoxian said so, but she did not take this big, heavy guy seriously. With a flash of purple light, the purple flash sword appeared in her palm. Terminator number 2 rushed over again, and the purple flash sword shot out and stabbed him in the chest. But she did not expect that this guy's defense was so strong. Hu Shaoxian originally thought that this sword could pierce through his chest, but only about an inch in. It was locked by the solid muscles and could not go any further. Terminator number 2 let out a roar and slapped her. Hu Shaoxian quickly withdrew the purple flash sword and dodged the blow. Finally, the two of them fought together. Terminator number 2's defense was amazing, but his speed was too slow. In the end, he was still suppressed by Hu Shaoxian. In the constant roar, his body was wounded by the purple flash sword one after another. In contrast, Nalan Wuxia was in a much more difficult situation. She raised her gun and shot at Terminator number 3, but the guy was so fast that the bullets hit only a shadow. Finally, the claw grabbed at her face. Chapter 346. In this kind of close combat, the pistol was no longer useful. Nalan Wuxia could only throw away the gun in her hand and then punch Terminator number 3's claws. When the fist and the claws met, the two of them stepped back 4 or 5 steps. They were evenly matched in this hard fight. However, Terminator number 3 did not stop. Once again, he turned into a shadow and rushed to Nalan Wuxia, taking advantage of his speed to the extreme. Although Nalan Wuxia had entered the threshold of the covert power warrior, she still had relatively little combat experience. Moreover, Terminator number 3 was too fast. She was firmly suppressed by him and was in danger for a while. After seeing her critical situation, Qin Haodong knew that he could not delay any longer. He had to solve the battle as soon as possible. He stretched out his right hand, and the 1,000 blades appeared in his palm, turning into a sky full of knife light that drowned the tall woman's figure. As the Terminator, number 1 Caucasian was the strongest, but it was all reflected in her weird ability and strong body. She couldn't compete with Qin Haodong in terms of speed and moves. Soon, she was pierced in the chest by the 1,000 blades. However, there was no blood coming out of this stab. On the contrary, the tall woman used this opportunity to attack with 2 sharp claws. One clawed at Qin Haodong's face, and the other clawed at his heart. Qin Haodong lifted his leg and kicked her away. Then he adjusted his offensive strategy. Since the stab didn't work, he would chop. He slashed at the tall woman's shoulder and directly cut off her left arm. The tall woman let out a scream, but there was no blood flowing out of her shoulder. She grabbed the arm that fell to the ground and pressed it back again. The shocking scene happened again. A few seconds later, the severed arm grew again, and there was no difference from before. Qin Haodong frowned. He didn't know who made this monster. Her body was so strong, but no matter how strong she was, it depended on whether she grew faster or he cut faster. Thinking of this, his speed suddenly increased. Before the tall woman could react, the 1,000 blades had cut off her newly grown left arm. Then he cut off her right arm, left leg, right leg, and finally cut off her head. In the blink of an eye, the tall woman's body was cut into 6 pieces. The tall woman's body was really strong. In this case, she was still alive. The severed limbs were constantly wriggling and seemed to have a tendency to close together. How is he still not dead? Qin Haodong waved the 1,000 blades again and divided the broken limbs into 5 or 6 pieces. This time, the tall woman was completely dead, and there was no sign of wriggling. After dealing with the tall woman, he turned around and pounced on Terminator number 3. At this time, Nalan Wuxia was forced to retreat step by step. Her uniform was torn in many places, and she looked extremely embarrassed. However, the speed that Terminator number 3 was proud of was nothing in front of Qin Haodong. Under the powerful spirit, everything was illusory. The light of the 1,000 blades flashed and pierced into Terminator number 3's back. Terminator number 3 let out a beast-like howl. The knife had pierced his heart. He didn't have the strong recovery ability of the Caucasian. After struggling on the ground for a few times, he stopped moving. Nalan Wuxia had just been angered by this guy. She picked up the pistol from the ground and fired all the bullets at his body. Now he could not be more dead. After dealing with Terminator number 3, Qin Haodong, Nalan Wuxia, and Hu Shaoxian surrounded Terminator number 2. Although this guy's defensive ability was amazing, he couldn't resist the attack of 3 internal strength masters. Soon, Qin Haodong's 1,000 blades pierced the back of his head. The battle was completely over. Hu Shaoxian breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I really don't know where these monsters came from. They are so difficult to deal with." Thinking of the genetic biohuman, who had pretended to be Tang Long, Qin Haodong said, "This should be the biohuman made by Wilson Company. I didn't expect it to be so strong." Hu Xiaoxian's expression was rare and serious. She said, "I didn't expect M Country to develop this kind of thing. I have to report it to my superiors. At the same time, I have to hand in the bodies of these monsters." While she was talking, Qin Haodong felt a wave of energy from the 3 Terminator monsters. Thinking of the explosion of the fake Tang Long, he quickly shouted, "These things are going to explode." After that, he jumped and pressed Nalan Wuxia and Hu Shaoxian under him. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions sounded. The bodies of the tall woman and the other 2 people were blown to pieces, leaving no intact flesh and blood. After the explosion, the 3 people stood up from the ground. Hu Shaoxian patted the dust on her body and said, "Damn it, these people are really cunning. I was just about to say that I would hand them in for research, but they exploded directly." Qin Haodong said, "They should have been prepared for it. They were afraid that we would get evidence." Hu Shaoxian said, "Then I have to take some back. It's good even if there is some minced meat. At least the scientific research department can see how their genes are modified." After that, she took out a plastic bag from her pocket, picked up a few pieces of the larger body parts from the ground, and put them away. Although Nalan Wuxia had been a criminal police officer for so many years, she still felt sick when she saw the minced meat. She couldn't help but admire Hu Xiaoxian's strong heart. At this time, sirens sounded on both sides of the road. The road was closed by 2 vans. There were gunshots and explosions here. Someone had already called the police. More than a dozen police cars drove over, and nearly 100 policemen surrounded the place. Nalan Wuxia stayed to deal with the aftermath. She requisitioned a police car and gave it to Qin Haodong, asking him to return to Jiangnan City as soon as possible. Soon after he got in the car, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. It was Lin Momo. "Haodong, the press conference will begin in half an hour. Now many reporters have arrived at our company. Why haven't you come back yet?" "Well, I had some trouble on the way. I'll be back soon." Qin Haodong hung up the phone and stepped on the accelerator with his right foot. The police car roared and rushed forward. Hu Shaoxian said, "Wang Desheng is dead. How are you going to explain it to those reporters?" Well, Qin Haodong realized this key problem. Originally, he wanted Wang Desheng to clarify the truth of the incident to all the media, saying that it was just a conspiracy and had nothing to do with traditional Chinese medicine. But now that Wang Desheng had exploded into pieces, it would be difficult to convince the media reporters with his words alone. What should he do? Cancel the press conference? That was impossible. The news had been released, and now many reporters were waiting at Tangmin Company. If he couldn't explain it now, it would inevitably cause a strong negative effect. Moreover, this matter couldn't be avoided. Sooner or later, the people of Huaxia and the government had to give an explanation. Thinking of this, Qin Haodong's forehead was covered in cold sweat. For a moment he couldn't think of a better way. Hu Shaoxian glanced at him and said with a charming smile, "Little man, I have a way to help you solve this problem." "What is it? Tell me quickly," Qin Haodong said eagerly. "Here is the way," Hu Shaoxian said as she raised her finger to her towering chest. She was wearing a black suit today. Between the 2 lapels, large areas of her fair skin and bottomless cleavage were exposed. Especially the curve of the hillside, it gave people a kind of soul-stirring visual feeling. Qin Haodong swallowed hard and said, "Don't make trouble. How can you still make such a joke with me at this time? If you want to solve the problem today, you can only rely on it." Hu Shaoxian smiled slyly, clapped her hands and pointed to her chest. How? How is this possible? Qin Haodong's face was full of disbelief. Hu Shaoxian grabbed his right hand and pressed it directly to her chest. No, Shaoxian, I really can't. I'm driving now. While Qin Haodong was refusing, he suddenly felt something in his hand. It was hard, so it shouldn't be that feeling. He held it in front of his eyes and saw that it was the brooch pinned to Hu Shaoxian's collar. What is this? He asked in surprise. People from special departments like us usually carry a well-hidden camera when we go out. This brooch is it. I recorded you interrogating Wang Desheng at the airport just now. I'll play it for the reporters to see later. Oh my God, Shaoxian, thank you so much. Qin Haodong stepped on the brake, then hugged Hu Shaoxian and kissed her hard. He fiddled with the brooch in his hand and said excitedly, "This is really a life-saving thing. The reputation of traditional Chinese medicine depends on it." Then what did you think I wanted you to see? Hu Shaoxian stared at Qin Haodong with charming eyes. I thought you wanted me to see here. Qin Haodong said as he glanced at the scenery inside the collar. He couldn't help but swallow again. Do you want to see it? Hu Shaoxian said in a sweet voice. Yes, no, I mean let's go back quickly, or the press conference will start soon. Qin Haodong said. Then he started the car again, and continued to speed forward. Hu Shaoxian said, Little man, this brooch is mine. I didn't say it's free for you to use. If you want to use it, you have to promise me one thing. What is it? Qin Haodong had a bad premonition. My condition is that you sleep with me tonight. That's not good. Qin Haodong said, and couldn't help glancing at Hu Shaoxian's collar again. The night they slept together flashed in his mind. Do you promise me or not? If not, give the brooch back to me. You find a way yourself. Hu Shaoxian said as she reached for the brooch. Qin Haodong quickly shouted, Yes, I promise. Hu Shaoxian scratched his palm with her finger and said, That's what you said. Remember, you have to listen to me tonight. Qin Haodong's body trembled slightly. This little vixen didn't want him to drive properly. The conference room of Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company was already full of people. Not only were there reporters from all over the country, but Pan Gaofeng and Ho Weiguo also heard the news and rushed over. In the past 2 days, they had been troubled by the problem of Hall of Medical Fame's kidney tonic tablet. They were looking forward to Qin Haodong bringing them a miracle. It was already the appointed time, but they still hadn't seen Qin Haodong's shadow. What's going on? Hasn't Dr. Qin come yet? Ho Weiguo looked at his watch with an anxious look on his face. The reporters under the stage began to whisper. It was clearly the notice issued by Tangmin Company. Why hadn't there been any movement yet? Just when everyone was impatient, the door of the conference room opened. Qin Haodong hurried in with Hu Shaoxian. Lin Momo greeted them and said, Haodong, are you ready? Do you want me to postpone the time of the press conference? No. Qin Haodong took out the miniature memory card from the brooch and gave it to Lin Momo. He said, Play this data on the big screen immediately. After that, he sat on the rostrum and said to the reporters under the stage, There was something special just now. We'll talk about it later. Please watch a video first, and then you'll find the answer you want. Chapter 347. The audience was curious about the beautiful woman who walked in with Qin Haodong, and what Qin Haodong was going to show them. At this time, the big screen in the conference room lit up, and a video file began to play. A middle-aged man in his 50s first appeared on the big screen. His face was strange, and no one had seen him before. Everyone was curious about why Qin Haodong showed them this. Then a shocking scene appeared. Qin Haodong took the mask off the man. It was Wang Desheng, the boss of the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame. Isn't that Wang Desheng? Why did he run? That's right. Although something happened to the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame, he is just an investor. What does it have to do with him? If you don't do anything shameful, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking on your door. Since you want to sneak out of the country, you must have done something shameful. The video continued to play, and everyone slowly quieted down. The next scene showed Qin Haodong interrogating Wang Desheng. As time went by, the truth slowly emerged. It turned out that all of this was Wang Desheng's plot. He was the mastermind behind the scenes. From the day he returned to Huaxia, his conspiracy began. He had established the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame and registered the legal person as Che Xiaoxiao. He had organized the Chinese Medicine Association to provide free medical services. He had faked his death to blackmail the man. It was really arranged by Wang Desheng. Zhang Tianhe had killed 3 people. It was not a medical accident at all. It had been arranged by Wang Desheng. Wang Desheng had killed Zhang Tianhe afterward and cremated him the next day. The accident of the blood revival elixir killing people was also planned by him to discredit traditional Chinese medicine. The treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame was a big conspiracy. Wang Desheng had first killed Zhang Guoyang and seized the remnant prescription of the Jiubao kidney nourishing pill. Then he had sent someone to send the prescription to the Chinese Medicine Practitioner Association. But Qin Haodong had seen through him and failed. Then the Huaxia Hall of Medical Fame began to violate the regulations. The approval documents were forged and the drugs were poisonous. The ultimate purpose of the sales was to discredit traditional Chinese medicine. When Wang Desheng said all these things one by one, everyone suddenly realized that Wang Desheng had returned to Huaxia not to develop traditional Chinese medicine, but to destroy it completely. When the video finished playing, everyone present was boiling with excitement. Bastard, Wang Desheng is a traitor. He must be sentenced to death. This kind of person's conscience has been fed to the dogs. He will definitely die a horrible death. Support traditional Chinese medicine, support Dr. Qin. Long live traditional Chinese medicine, long live Dr. Qin. After a full 5 minutes, the people's anger slowly subsided. A reporter asked, Dr. Qin, where is Wang Desheng? Why did you only show us a video? Why didn't you let him come to the scene to explain things clearly? Qin Haodong said, I just said that I encountered a special situation. Now I'll tell you what it is. On our way back, we were ambushed by killers from M country. Their purpose was to kill Wang Desheng and conceal the truth. Their ultimate goal was to destroy traditional Chinese medicine and ban it. The men activated the remote control they had installed on Wang Desheng. Blast, the bomb had blown him to pieces. Now there was no Wang Desheng in the world. It was impossible for him to attend the press conference. The other party killed Wang Desheng, but they didn't expect us to save this video before. Now the truth of these cases has come to light. Che Xiaoxiao is a victim, and so are the patients who took the treasure tablet for kidney of the Hall of Medical Fame. Even the whole traditional Chinese medicine is a victim of this conspiracy. The audience was speechless. What Qin Haodong said was beyond many people's expectations. In the eyes of many people, the world was peaceful and beautiful. They hadn't expected such a thing to happen. Another reporter asked, Dr. Qin, are you sure you're not telling us a story or joking? Qin Haodong said, Captain Nailin Wuxiao of the Criminal Police Unit also encountered the killers with us. She is now dealing with the situation at the scene. I believe the police will give you an answer later. Hearing that the captain of the Criminal Police Unit had encountered the killers with Qin Haodong, no one questioned the authenticity of the incident. A reporter asked, Dr. Qin, I still have a question. You just said that Wang Desheng returned to Huaxia under the mandate of a foreign organization. The purpose was to discredit traditional Chinese medicine and destroy it. But as far as I know, traditional Chinese medicine is declining day by day. It can't be compared with Western medicine at all. Is it worth it? Qin Haodong said, That's a simple question. I'll calculate it for you. The price of B. Constantine produced by Wilson's company is 500 yuan in Tianju, and the cost is only dozens of yuan. Their price is 28,000 yuan per box. The most important thing is that it's only used by leukemia patients in a month. It's more than 300,000 yuan a year. There are more than 4 million leukemia patients in Huaxia. You can calculate how much profit they make in a year. It's higher than the profit of drug trafficking, and there's no risk. They're drinking the blood of Huaxia people. Since the birth of the blood revival elixir, leukemia patients in Huaxia no longer need to take B. Constantine. This alone has caused immeasurable losses to Wilson's company. Now do you think it's worth it? The audience was in an uproar. Many people realized for the first time that the pharmaceutical industry had such high profits. Another reporter stood up and asked, Dr. Qin, many people on the internet are clamoring that traditional Chinese medicine is unscientific and calling for its abolition and replacement by Western medicine, especially after the incident of the treasure tablet for kidney in the Hall of Medical Fame. Many well-known experts and scholars have jumped out and called for the abolition of traditional Chinese medicine. As a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, what do you think? In fact, it doesn't matter whether traditional Chinese medicine is important or whether it should be abolished. I'll give you 2 points. I don't need to say anything. You'll know what to think. The first point is whether traditional Chinese medicine is scientific or not. Science is a good thing, but human beings are far from being scientific. Many things can't be explained by science, such as the world-famous Bermuda Triangle, the hanging coffins in Huaxia, and the pyramids in ancient Egypt. There are no problems with other things, but traditional Chinese medicine can't. Why can't traditional Chinese medicine work? It's because the existence of traditional Chinese medicine affects the interests of many people. As a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, I'm not used to explaining traditional Chinese medicine from a scientific point of view. If you want to verify whether traditional Chinese medicine is scientific or not, you can look back at the history of human development. Huaxia has a culture of 5,000 years. Since ancient times, people in Huaxia have been using traditional Chinese medicine and eating traditional Chinese medicine. Western medicine has only a history of 100 years in Huaxia. In the Song dynasty, the population of Huaxia accounted for more than 40% of the world's population, almost half of the world's population. Even 100 years ago, the population of Huaxia was more than 500 million, accounting for 1/3 of the world's population. It was the most populous country in the world. What did Huaxia rely on to have such a large population? In terms of physical fitness, we can't compare to the tall white people in Europe and America. In terms of reproduction, we can't compare to the black people in Africa. The reason why we can have such a large population is because of our advanced medical technology. In the history of human development, the Black Death in Europe killed nearly 100 million people, but Huaxia was fine. The Spanish influenza killed 75 million people, but Huaxia was fine. The Justinian plague killed 25 million people, but Huaxia was fine. Looking at the top 10 infectious diseases in the world with the number of deaths, not a single one has happened in Huaxia. What did we rely on? Could it be that he relied on luck? Of course not. It's our magical traditional Chinese medicine. A medical skill that has been protecting the people of Huaxia for thousands of years is now being questioned if it's scientific. I think it's a joke. Many people say that the meridians and acupoints of Huaxia traditional Chinese medicine can't be seen, so it's not scientific. But who says that what modern Western medicine can't explain and what modern science can't discover is not scientific? If it can't explain the magic of traditional Chinese medicine, it can only be said that the current scientific level is not high enough. It can only be said that the level of traditional Chinese medicine is high enough that the current scientific level can't reach it. At this point, the audience burst into thunderous applause and cheers. Well said, Dr. Qin's speech is so good. Chinese medicine is great. Dr. Qin is great. Long live Dr. Qin. We support you. We support traditional Chinese medicine. We want to carry forward our own things. When the applause subsided, Qin Haodong continued. Let me talk about the second point. Why do so many people now say that traditional Chinese medicine is pseudoscience, and that traditional Chinese medicine can't cure diseases? In fact, it's all about money. Now Huaxia occupies 1/4 of the world's population. From a medical point of view, it is undoubtedly the largest market. Even a little market share is enough to make countless people rich. There is no doubt that Western medicine is developed enough, but at the same time, its cost is high enough. I think everyone has felt the sky-high cost of treatment. A visit to the hospital can't be made without thousands or tens of thousands of yuan. A bottle of Constantine is as high as 28,000 yuan. Why is the price of Western medicine so high? Because they are foreign monks. They are the children of other people. They have the so-called patent fees, research and development fees, and all kinds of fees added to the heads of Huaxia people. But traditional Chinese medicine doesn't. It's a treasure left to us by our ancestors. No traditional Chinese medicine doctor will give you a prescription and charge you patent fees and research and development fees. In contrast, the treatment cost is low and the side effects are small. Traditional Chinese medicine naturally becomes the eyesore of the vested interests of Western medicine and Western medicine. Therefore, they do everything possible to suppress traditional Chinese medicine, discredit traditional Chinese medicine, and even want to uproot traditional Chinese medicine. In the final analysis, traditional Chinese medicine blocks their way of making money, and traditional Chinese medicine makes the cost of seeing a doctor low. Now some people who clamor that traditional Chinese medicine is pseudoscience are brainwashed by Western ideas. They don't know what traditional Chinese medicine is. They only know how to echo others. When they hear others say that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific, they also say that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific. It seems that only by saying that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific can they keep up with the pace of the times. It seems that only by saying that traditional Chinese medicine is not scientific can they improve their own status. There are also some people who do things for money. They can get hundreds of thousands or even millions of yuan by saying that traditional Chinese medicine is pseudoscience. They are naturally willing to do it. Even if traditional Chinese medicine is really abolished and really disappears, they don't have to worry, because they have entered the ranks of the rich. The money they get is enough for their families to pay the high cost of Western medicine, and they don't have to wait for death like ordinary people. At this point, there was a silence. Qin Haodong's speech made everyone think. Everyone knew about the battle between traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine, but they had never thought about it so deeply. Qin Haodong said again, if Western medicine really replaces traditional Chinese medicine, what kind of changes will it bring to our lives? Some people say that without traditional Chinese medicine, the more scientific Western medicine can also cure diseases. But have you ever thought that without low-cost traditional Chinese medicine, Western medicine will become unscrupulous? The so-called research and development fees and patent fees will double. As long as you get a serious disease, you will either wait to die or wait to go bankrupt. Chapter 348. In the underground experimental base of M country, 3 red dots suddenly exploded on the big electronic screen and finally disappeared from the screen. Bastard, my 3 Terminators were destroyed just like that. Garnett was furious. He turned to Davis and said, I told you not to use the Terminators to go to Huaxia. Now, all 3 of the Terminators that I painstakingly developed are gone. How do you want me to explain this to the organization? Davis's face was livid. In order to ensure the smooth completion of Plan Number 2, he had sent the 3 Terminators to Huaxia to kill Wang Desheng. He had not expected that none of them would survive. They had all been left in Huaxia. He sighed and said, anyway, Wang Desheng was killed. I can ensure the smooth completion of my Plan Number 2. I'll explain it to my superiors then. Garnett yelled. Explain what? Do you know how much it cost me to develop the 3 Terminators? I invested tens of billions of dollars, and now it's all gone. Davis was also unhappy and yelled, what are you arguing about? Your tens of billions of dollars were all earned by Wilson's sales of medicine. If you don't bring down Tangmen Company, you won't get a penny in the future. Garnett still wanted to say something, but he thought that what Davis said made sense. Since the blood revival elixir had been on the market, Wilson's performance had plummeted. If it went on like this, it would not be far from bankruptcy. Davis's tone softened a little as he said, well, old man, let's not quarrel over this. Although 3 Terminators have died, we can develop better ones as long as we have money. Garnett said with hatred, no, I have to kill that Huaxia man for revenge. I want to tear him into pieces. Davis said, well, let's start Plan Number 4. In the Golden Branch and Jade Leaf Kindergarten, Wang Jiani was playing games with the children. Suddenly, the door opened and Lin Momo walked in. Upon seeing Lin Momo, Wang Jiani said politely, "Sister Momo, you're here." Lin Momo smiled and said, "Miss Wang, I'm going to take Tang Tang to travel to Europe, so I picked her up from school early." "Oh, traveling is a good thing," Wang Jiani said. "When are you going? Is Dr. Qin going?" At this time, the little fellow saw Lin Momo and ran into her arms. "Mama, where are you going to take Tang Tang?" "I'll take you to Europe, to Disneyland." Lin Momo turned her head and said to Wang Jiani, "This is a last-minute decision. Recently, the company has been too busy. It's not easy to get a clue, so we're going out to relax. It's good to go out and have fun. I wish you three a pleasant trip." Wang Jiani waved to the little fellow. "Bye, Tang Tang." "Goodbye, teacher. I'll ask Papa to bring you a present." After saying that, the little fellow happily left the kindergarten with Lin Momo. After they went out, Lin Momo called a taxi. She got in the taxi and said to the driver, "Sir, to Jiangnan Airport. We are in a hurry. Please drive faster." The driver started the car and said, "Miss, you can't drive too fast, or you'll have to pay a fine." Lin Momo took out a stack of cash and threw it on the cab. "Get to the airport in half an hour. This is all yours. It's enough to pay the fine." "Yes, miss, please sit tight." Seeing these banknotes, the driver immediately stepped on the accelerator, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. The taxi roared and sped forward. The little fellow said, "Mama, where's our car? Why are we taking a taxi?" Lin Momo said, "I left the car with Papa. He'll drive to the airport later." Money talks. With the help of the money, the taxi rushed all the way and arrived at the Jiangnan airport in more than 20 minutes. Lin Momo hurried into the airport hall with the little fellow. She took out the tickets and relevant procedures that she had prepared, went through the security check, and got on the plane. 10 minutes later, the plane took off and flew in the direction of M country. After Lin Momo and Tang Tang left, Wang Jiani continued to play games with the children. At this time, Xiao Li, the teaching assistant, ran over with a mobile phone. They had a good relationship and talked about everything. "Sister Wang, your idol is holding a press conference. It's a live broadcast. Don't miss this opportunity," Xiao Li said and handed the mobile phone to Wang Jiani. On the screen, Qin Haodong was organizing a press conference in Jiangnan Company. Xiao Li exclaimed, "Sister Wang, your idol is so handsome. He's so young and so rich. When will you introduce him to me?" Looking at the handsome face on the screen, Wang Jiani's mood was extremely complicated. Qin Haodong was the best man she had ever seen, but unfortunately, he did not belong to her. With a sigh, she moved her eyes away from Qin Haodong and saw Lin Momo sitting next to him. "Hey, isn't this Sister Momo? You just left. Why are you at the meeting so soon?" She turned to look at Xiao Li and asked, "Is this a live broadcast?" "Of course. This is a live broadcast by a reporter who attended the conference. What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Wang Jiani's expression changed. Lin Momo had just left, and there was another person sitting in the meeting. What was going on? Thinking of this, she had an extremely bad feeling. She quickly took out her mobile phone and dialed Qin Haodong's number. However, no one answered after a long time. He must have muted his phone during the meeting or didn't take it with him. Wang Jiani turned to Xiao Li and said, "Keep an eye on him for a while. I'm in a hurry." "Sister Wang, what are you going to do? What should I say when the director asks me?" Before Xiao Li could finish speaking, Wang Jiani had already rushed out of the classroom. She went to the gate of the kindergarten, took a taxi, and went straight to Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company. At the conference, Qin Haodong finished his speech. Today's conference was undoubtedly quite successful. Not only did it wipe away the dirty water that Wang Deshang had poured on traditional Chinese medicine, but it also deepened people's understanding of traditional Chinese medicine and built up their confidence in it. After the conference, the reporters left one after another. Lin Momo looked at the man in front of her with affection. He was so excellent that he had easily helped traditional Chinese medicine get through the current difficulties. Hu Shaoxian stepped forward and said, "Good job, little man. I'll give you a like." Lin Momo sighed secretly. It was also troublesome for a man to be too excellent. He always had beautiful girls around him. At this moment, Wang Jiani rushed in from outside. Seeing Wang Jiani's anxious face, Qin Haodong was slightly stunned and asked, "Ms. Wang, why are you here? Did I make trouble in the kindergarten?" Now the little fellow's holy body was becoming more and more obvious. She was much stronger than other children of the same age. She would hurt other children if she didn't pay attention. At this time, when Wang Jiani came to find him, he naturally thought that the little fellow had made trouble again. Wang Jiani had no time to answer his question. She turned to Lin Momo and said, "Sister Momo, where's Tang Tang?" Lin Momo looked surprised and said, "Isn't Tang Tang in kindergarten?" Wang Jiani's body shook, and she almost fell to the ground. Now she was sure that the Lin Momo, who had just gone to the kindergarten, had been impersonated. She had cheated Tang Tang. Qin Haodong sensed that something was wrong and quickly asked, "What's wrong, Ms. Wang? What happened?" "Tang Tang has been taken away." Wang Jiani hurriedly told him what had just happened and finally said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Qin. That person looks exactly like Miss Lin, so I gave Tang Tang to her." After experiencing so many disguises, Qin Haodong immediately understood that Davis must have asked someone to disguise herself as Lin Momo, with a 3D mask made of nanomaterials, and cheated Tang Tang. Hearing that her daughter had been taken away, Lin Momo immediately lost her usual calm and said nervously, "Haodong, Tang Tang has been taken away. What should we do? What should we do? She's still so young. She won't be hurt by those people, will she?" Wang Jiani then said, "Dr. Qin, shall we call the police? If we hurry, we may be able to save Tang Tang." Qin Haodong was both worried and angry that his daughter had been kidnapped, but he was still rational. He grabbed Lin Momo's hand and comforted her. "Don't worry. Their purpose is not to hurt Tang Tang. Maybe they want our formula, or they want to threaten me to work for them. Tang Tang will not be in danger before they achieve their purpose." Hearing Qin Haodong's analysis, Lin Momo slowly calmed down from the initial shock and panic and said, "What should we do now? I guess they should have taken Tang Tang to M country." "I'll ask Won'er to check it out." Qin Haodong dialed Qi Won'er's number. After a brief explanation of the situation, he asked her to help him check the nearest plane from Jiangnan to M country to see if there was any information about Tang Tang. Qi Won'er also knew that the situation was urgent, so she quickly called back and said, "According to the information, an hour ago, Tang Tang boarded the plane with Sister Momo, and the direction was the capital of M country." After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong said, "It's obvious that they kidnapped the little fellow to M country to make me go there. What should we do?" Lin Momo was suddenly in a dilemma. She was worried about her daughter, but she was also afraid that Qin Haodong would be in danger if he went there. After all, it was M country, not Huaxia. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "What else is there to ask? Of course, I'm going to get my daughter back. But it's very dangerous for you to go there. After all, it's not our place." Qin Haodong said, "It doesn't matter. Don't you know my ability? I'm sure I'll bring Tang Tang back safely to you." Lin Momo said, "Then I'll go with you." Qin Haodong was speechless and said, "I'm going to save people. Why do you want to go with me? I'll have to take care of you when I save the little fellow. I'll be too busy. But I'm worried about you going alone." Lin Momo said with a worried face, "Sister Momo, I'll go with him." It was Hu Xiaoxian who spoke. She said, "I've been to M country many times, so I'm familiar with it. I can also help Haodong." Qin Haodong thought for a moment. Hu Xiaoxian was a member of the special department, so she knew all aspects of M country very well. She was the most suitable person to go with him. He said to Lin Momo, "I'll go with Xiaoxian. You still need to stay in Tangmen company." Lin Momo also knew that she would only be a hindrance. She said, "Well, you must be careful. Don't worry. I promise you that I'll bring Tang Tang back to Huaxia safe and sound." Qin Haodong said as he kissed Lin Momo on the cheek. Then, he left Tangmen company with Hu Xiaoxian and went straight to Jiangnan Airport. At the airport of the capital of M country, a large passenger plane slowly landed. Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian walked out of the airport together. Hu Xiaoxian raised her hand and called a taxi. She said to the driver in fluent English, "To District 13. The driver was a black man. After hearing Hu Xiaoxian's words, he asked in surprise, "Beautiful lady, are you sure? Are you really going to District 13? Chapter 349. Yes, we are going to Area 13, Qin Haodong said. His English was also good, so he could communicate normally. Oh my God, why are you going to that damn place? The black driver said this, but he had already started the car, left the airport, and headed for the road. Hu Xiaoxian asked, "What's wrong with Area 13? The black driver said, "The security in that place is really bad. I can only take you to the periphery. I don't dare to go inside. Otherwise, my car will be ruined. It will be smashed by those lawless guys. And beautiful women like you should not go there. If there is no bodyguard, I guarantee that you will be taken away in 5 seconds. Hu Xiaoxian pointed to Qin Haodong and said with a smile, "He is my bodyguard." The black driver glanced at Qin Haodong's thin body and said, No, he can't do it at all. You don't know how strong and violent those guys are. A bodyguard like him can't protect you. On the contrary, he will be taken away by some people with special hobbies." Hearing the driver's words, Hu Xiaoxian giggled. Qin Haodong said helplessly, "Isn't this the capital of M country? Why is the security so bad?" The black driver said, "This is indeed the capital of M country. The security in other places is also very good, but that damn place in Area 13 is not good. Although it is a district, it is dozens of kilometers away from the urban area. Area 13 is a restricted area for the police. As long as no one dies, the police will not go there. Even if someone dies, the police will only go to collect the body, because it is so messy there. The only way to deal with those guys is to send troops." After a pause, he continued, "You're not from here, right? I really don't know who sent you there. It's no different from sending you to your death. Listen to me. Don't go to that place, or the consequences will be unimaginable." Seeing that the driver was kind-hearted, Qin Haodong said, "In fact, we are not going to Area 13. We are going to a place 20 kilometers north of it." The coordinates were set by Chi Weiner. Davis had been active here recently, so it should be the location of their nest. "Oh my God, are you talking about the Devil's Forest?" The driver seemed to have heard something terrible. He stepped on the brake and said to the two of them, "I can send you to the periphery of Area 13, but I will not go to a place like the Devil's Forest." Hu Xiaoxian asked in surprise, "Why? Wasn't that just a forest? Is it scarier than District 13? The black driver said, "Devil's Forest. Do you know why it's called Devil's Forest? Just because there are demons there. There's still hope to come out alive after entering Area 13, but not in the Demon Forest. It's been a long time since anyone came out alive from there." Of course, Qin Haodong was not afraid of the so-called devil. He said, "It doesn't matter. You can send us to the periphery of the 13th district. We will find a way to get there by ourselves. Are you guys crazy? Why did he have to go to that damn place? Let me tell you, you absolutely cannot go to that place." The driver still wanted to dissuade him, but Qin Haodong took out a few bills and slapped them in front of him, saying, "We know what we're doing. Take us there. And these bills are yours. All right then, good luck." Seeing that he couldn't stop them, the driver looked at them with pity and started the car again. The taxi left the airport and drove quickly along the highway in the direction of Area 13. The driver was very talkative. He chatted with the two along the way, introducing various legends related to Area 13 and the Devil's Forest, trying to persuade them to change their minds. Qin Haodong examined the warm-hearted driver several times and did not find any problems with him. But for some reason, there was a kind of uneasiness slowly growing in his heart, and this feeling was getting stronger and stronger. After a while, his scalp was numb, and the powerful spirit made him feel extremely uneasy. He quickly shouted to Hu Xiaoxian, "It's dangerous, get out of the car." With that, he kicked the door open and jumped out. Although Hu Xiaoxian did not know why, she also kicked the door on the other side out of complete trust in Qin Haodong and jumped out. "Oh my God, my car. The black driver was going crazy. They had been chatting well. Why did they suddenly kick the door of his car? What were they doing? Moreover, the speed of the car was extremely fast. How could he survive if he jumped out at this speed? Before he could react, there was a loud bang, and a cloud of black smoke rose from the road. The Buick taxi was like a weightless leaf in front of the huge wave of air. It was thrown high and then turned into countless pieces. The poor black driver was buried with the taxi before he could figure out what was going on. Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian looked at the scene of the explosion together with a serious expression. Is it the driver's problem? Hu Xiaoxian asked. No, the driver is fine. He didn't know there was a bomb in front of him. Qin Haodong said. I guess we were targeted as soon as we got off the plane, and then a bomb was installed on this road. Although they had guessed that this trip to M country would not be peaceful, they did not expect Davis to come so quickly, making the poor driver a scapegoat. What should we do now? Hu Xiaoxian asked. Find another car, of course, Qin Haodong said as he looked around. Qin Haodong looked around, but this was not Huaxia. The population density was not large, and there were very few vehicles coming and going. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, only 2 cars passed by, and they all retreated after seeing the scene of the explosion. Hu Xiaoxian said, It seems that we have to walk over. As soon as she finished speaking, a siren sounded. 2 police cars sped over from a distance. It seemed that someone had called the police. The 2 police cars stopped not far from them. 4 policemen jumped out of the cars, pulled out their guns and shouted, Don't move! Raise your hands! Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian both raised their hands cooperatively. The 2 police cars stopped not far from them. A bearded policeman came forward and asked, Don't move! Raise your hands! The 2 of them were very cooperative. A bearded policeman stepped forward and asked, What's going on here? Qin Haodong said, We are tourists from Huaxia. We took a taxi, but somehow it exploded. The bearded policeman looked at the scene doubtfully. In addition to the fragments of the taxi, there was some blurred flesh left by the black driver. Why did the taxi explode like that? But you are fine. Because we jumped out of the car in advance. Qin Haodong said helplessly. He didn't expect the M country police to come so quickly. If they had known this, they would have left earlier. This kind of thing was really difficult to explain. The bearded policeman said warily. Why did you jump out of the car? Because you knew there was a bomb in front of you? How did you know? Are you accomplices of the person who set off the bomb? Did you murder the taxi driver together? Qin Haodong said. Of course not. We just arrived in M country. How could we have accomplices? Besides, we don't know this driver. How could we murder him? No, you are too suspicious. You must go back with us for investigation. The bearded policeman waved his hand, and another policeman immediately took out handcuffs and came to them. Hu Xiaoxian gave Qin Haodong an inquiring look, but Qin Haodong shook his head. They came to find Davis to save people. If they had a head-on conflict with the police, as soon as they arrived in M country, it would be difficult to deal with later. Now they could only take one step at a time and act according to the circumstances. The 2 people were taken into the police car, bypassed the scene of the explosion, and drove forward. Half an hour later, Qin Haodong felt something was wrong. They should have arrived in the city by now, but the direction they were going was getting more and more desolate. It seemed that they were getting farther and farther away from the city. Officer, where are we going? Qin Haodong asked. Don't worry, we'll be there soon, the bearded policeman said as he drove the police car off the road and went straight to the foot of a mountain. He parked the car in front of a small forest. Get out of the car. We're here, the bearded policeman said as he opened the door and got out of the police car first. Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian got out of the car and were surprised to find 20 or 30 gunmen in black standing in front of the small forest. These people were holding all kinds of guns in their hands. Some were long, some were short, and some were of different shapes. The muzzles were pointed at them, as if they were holding a gun fair. He and Hu Xiaoxian looked at each other. Both of them understood that these policemen were also fake. It was very likely that they were the people who had planted the bomb in advance. They were all killers sent by Davis. However, Qin Haodong did not panic. He glanced at the bearded policeman and said, "Officer, why did you bring us here? Boy, you're really an idiot. Can't you see that we're not policemen at all?" The bearded policeman laughed and tore off his police uniform, revealing his strong muscles. He said, "We're all Mr. Davis's men. The bomb just now was set by us. I didn't expect you to be so lucky that you didn't die. Where's Davis? Why didn't he come? Did he kidnap my daughter?" The bearded man glanced at Qin Haodong and said, "If you want to see our boss, hand over your formula first. Otherwise, I'll show you the advanced weapons of our country." As he spoke, he raised his hand and pointed to the weapons in the hands of the gunman. "See, these guns are enough to turn you into a sieve." After that, he turned to look at Hu Shaoxian and said with a lewd smile, "Little girl, don't be afraid. We won't kill you. Later, we'll let you have a taste of the country's men. They're definitely much better than this toy boy." Hu Shaoxian smiled charmingly and said, "Really? Don't be so good-looking but useless. You'll disappoint me then." The bearded man had never seen such a beautiful woman. His eyes flashed, and he wanted to press Hu Shaoxian down immediately. He fell to the ground. He said to Qin Haodong, "Did you hear that? I don't have time to waste with you. Hand over the formula quickly. Didn't Davis tell you that I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner? Today, I'll let you Westerners see the magic of Chinese medicine." Qin Haodong shook his hands, and the handcuffs fell to the ground. Then he moved his wrists, raised his hand and snapped his fingers. He said to the gunman, "Get down all of you." The bearded man was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Qin Haodong to get rid of the handcuffs so easily. Just as he was about to order them to shoot, he found that his men fell to the ground, and even threw their guns aside. Hu Shaoxian sneered and said, "See? You guys are really good-looking but useless. What's going on?" The bearded man was shocked. He raised his hand to touch the pistol on his waist. Suddenly, he felt dizzy and then fell to the ground with a plop. Qin Haodong used the ecstasy pill to knock these people out. He reached out to grab the bearded man's pistol and raised his hand to point at an aircraft hovering in the sky. Chapter 350. With his spirit locked on, Qin Haodong's bullets didn't miss. He shot the aircraft's propellers twice, and it fell to the ground. He walked over, smiled at the camera on the drone, and then raised his foot to step on it. In the laboratory of the underground base, Davis and Garnett were watching the live broadcast on the big screen. Garnett said angrily, "Damn it, we put so many explosives, but we didn't kill this hateful guy. Is he a devil?" Davis said with a cigar in his mouth, "I told you that this Huaxia guy would not be easy to deal with." Garnett said, "Fortunately, I still have a backup plan. Now that he is facing so many gunmen, I want to see what he can do. Unless he is God, there is absolutely no way he can escape." He was very confident in the gunmen he had sent. These people had not only undergone strict training, but they were also very good at shooting. They also had excellent weapons. No matter how good Qin Haodong was, he would not be able to compete with them. As soon as he finished speaking, the gunmen fell to the ground one after another. Garnett exclaimed, "God, what the hell happened? How could this be?" Then, Qin Haodong's handsome face appeared on the big screen. Then a huge foot fell, and the big screen was covered by snowflakes. "Damn it, I must kill him. I must kill him." Garnett roared angrily. Davis took a puff of his cigarette and said calmly, "Old man, why are you so anxious? His daughter is in our hands now. You didn't use the ready-made hostage. You just had to do these laborious and unrewarding things. Now you are at a disadvantage, aren't you?" Garnett took a deep breath, calmed down, and said, "Then what do you think we should do?" Davis said, "It's very simple. Qin Haodong should be the anxious person now. Let him worry outside. Our base is very secretive. It is impossible for outsiders to find this place without a guide. Wait for him to be like a headless fly for 2 or 3 days. When he has completely lost his mind, we will find a chance to kill him." "Well, I'll listen to you this time," Garnett said. After crushing the aerial camera, Qin Haodong thought of something and put all the weapons and ammunition of these people into his storage ring. The more things they had, the better. The divine mercenaries could use them in the future. After doing all this, he took out an antidote and stuffed it into the bearded man's mouth before slapping him awake. Seeing Qin Haodong, the bearded man subconsciously touched the back again, only to find that it was a desert. The eagle had disappeared. He pulled out a dagger from his leg and rushed toward Qin Haodong. Hu Xiaoxian lifted her leg and kicked hard on the bearded man's stomach with her 10-centimeter-long high heel. He was kicked 4 or 5 meters away and curled up on the ground like a prawn. When he looked at Hu Xiaoxian again, his eyes were full of lust. Filth had completely disappeared and was replaced with a face full of fear. He did not understand how such a petite woman could have such great strength. Could this be the legendary Chinese kung fu? A coward like you dares to have designs on me? Hu Xiaoxian looked disdainful. She stepped in front of the bearded man, lifted her right leg, and stepped on his lower abdomen with her toes. The high heels were just between his legs. Between. Tell me where Davis is, or I'll cripple you right now. No. Please don't. Seeing that his treasure was threatened, the bearded man was so scared that his face turned pale, and he trembled all over. He hurriedly cried, "Mercy, please let me go. Davis asked me to do this." Hu Xiaoxian asked, "Tell me, where is Davis now?" The bearded man said, "I really don't know. I'm just in the 13th zone. I have some gunmen under my command. Davis just called me and asked me to kill you, but I really don't know where he is." "You don't want to tell me? It seems that you want to enter the palace to serve the emperor," Hu Xiaoxian said as she exerted force on her feet. The bearded man suddenly felt a sharp pain coming from his lower abdomen. He suddenly screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Looking at the high heel, Qin Haodong clamped his legs for no reason. It seemed that the bearded man's only function was to pee in the future. "Please let me go. I'll tell you now." The bearded man desperately begged for mercy. "You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit." Hu Xiaoxian lifted her toes and said, "Tell me, where is he?" The bearded man felt better, but his lower abdomen still hurt. He didn't know if he could still use it in the future. "He's hiding in the 13th zone, waiting for my news." Qin Haodong pulled the bearded man up, stared into his eyes and asked, "Tell me the truth, where is Davis?" This time, he used mind manipulating. The bearded man's eyes flashed with confusion. He said, "I really don't know. Although I often cooperate with Davis, I never know where he is." Qin Haodong asked, "Then why do you say he's in the 13th zone?" "I want to lead you there, and then let my men kill you, especially this woman. I must let my men torture her to death." Under the mind manipulating, the bearded man did not hide anything. His face was ferocious as he spoke, and the hatred in his heart completely burst out. "Go to hell." Seeing that the guy still wanted to retaliate against her, Hu Xiaoxian kicked him in the chest. Crack! Crack! In the sound of cracking bones, a large part of the bearded man's chest collapsed. Then he spat out mouthfuls of blood. It seemed that he would not survive. After dealing with the bearded man, Hu Xiaoxian asked, "Do you want to wake up 2 more?" "No, these people are all the bearded man's men. Since the bearded man doesn't know where Davis is, it's useless to ask them." Then Qin Haodong took out the 1,000 blades. He gently pricked the tip of the knife on his left index finger. A crystal clear drop of blood flowed out, but it did not fall. Instead, it slowly floated into the air. He made another incantation. The blood in the air shone with a red light, and then Tang Tang's face appeared in the red light. Hu Xiaoxian asked in surprise, "What kind of magic is this?" Qin Haodong raised his hand, and the red light disappeared. Then he said, "Blood manipulation. I use blood as a guide to find the person I'm looking for. As long as the distance is no more than 100 miles, I can know where Tang Tang is." "That's a good idea. Can you give it to me? Let's talk about it when you have a daughter." While talking, the two of them got into the bearded man's police car again. This time, the driver was Qin Haodong. The car drove in the direction of the blood manipulation. Soon they found that the location of the blood manipulation was in the Devil Forest. They were not too far from the Devil Forest. They reached the edge of the forest in half an hour. It was almost evening. In order not to be discovered, Qin Haodong stopped the car far away. The two of them walked into the forest together. After entering the forest, they found that there were strict sentries, and even snipers were placed on several high points. No wonder the taxi driver said that no one would be able to come out alive. Surrounded by such dense firepower, ordinary people would never be able to come out alive once they entered. Hu Shaoxian said, Davis is so afraid of death? Did he strengthen the defense because he knew you were coming? It doesn't seem like it. Davis has Tang Tang in his hands, so he wouldn't bother to set up so many sentries. There must be an unknown secret here, Qin Haodong said. Anyway, let's go in first. Although the security here was strict, it worked for ordinary people. It didn't work for Qin Haodong and Hu Shaoxian. Soon, the two of them quietly sneaked into the Devil Forest. After entering, they found that the closer they got to the periphery of the forest, the tighter the security was. On the contrary, the inside was relaxed. Maybe the people inside thought that no one could break through the defense outside. In the middle of the forest was an open space with an area of several square kilometers. It was unknown whether it was man-made or natural. The whole open space was covered with green grass without any trees. The two of them found a hidden place to hide. Hu Shaoxian asked, Is it the wrong place? It doesn't look like Davis's residence, and there is no sign of Tang Tang. Yes, Qin Haodong pointed to the ground. I can feel that Tang Tang is down here. There are so many guards outside. Of course, they won't guard an open space. There must be a secret down there. Oh, Hu Shaoxian said. But it's difficult. We can't even find the entrance. How can we get in? Don't worry. The people underground will come out sooner or later. At least someone will come out to replace them, Qin Haodong said. Before that, we can do something first. After that, he stretched out his right hand, and a small triangular flag appeared in his hand. Choosing a position, he shot the flag out. After the flag was inserted into the ground, it quickly disappeared, as if nothing had happened. What is this? Are you going to set up a formation? Hu Shaoxian had recognized that the small flag shot by Qin Haodong was the formation flag brought back from the Shenangjia underground palace. Yes, Qin Haodong nodded. Since we are here this time, we must completely solve the problem of Wilson Company. Otherwise, these people will come to us like flies in the future. It will be very annoying. Hu Shaoxian asked, What formation are you going to set up? Qin Haodong said, Anyway, we have plenty of time. I will set up a few more. First of all, we need to set up a trap formation to prevent the people inside from running out. In addition, we need to set up an illusion formation and the trigram fire formation of 5 elements. Maybe they will be useful. Hu Shaoxian nodded. If they wanted to keep all the people inside here, the trap formation was indeed the best way. As they talked, they walked around the open space. Qin Haodong kept throwing out formation flags. 2 hours later, all the 3 formations were set up, but they had not been activated for the time being. Nothing unusual could be seen from the outside. They were about to sit down and have a rest. At this moment, the turf in the center of the open space in the middle of the forest suddenly began to move slowly to both sides, revealing a huge underground passage. Hu Shaoxian said, Their entrance is here. Shall we go in? Qin Haodong said, If we go in now, we will definitely be discovered by them. Let's find a chance to sneak in later and see what they are going to do first. Soon, a group of gunmen came out of the underground passage. These people were dressed in black, wearing hoods and carrying various weapons and guns. Qin Haodong said, It seems that it's time to change shifts. Sure enough, these people came out to replace the guards outside. After the shift was completed, the gunmen in black re-entered the underground passage, and the passage was closed again. Hu Shaoxian said, That's easy. We can catch 2 gunmen in black and change their clothes. Then we can enter the underground passage together. Qin Haodong glanced at the 2 towering peaks on her chest and said, I can sneak in, but I don't think you can. Everyone can see that you are a woman. It's not a big deal. I can deal with it. I often encountered this situation when I was doing tasks before. After Hu Shaoxian finished speaking, she did not avoid Qin Haodong at all, and directly took off her coat. Chapter 351. Without the restraint of the coat, the two quite large peaks looked more towering. Qin Haodong couldn't help but swallow his saliva when he saw her white jade-like skin and bottomless ravines. Hu Shaoxian took out a chest wrapper from the storage ring and wrapped the two peaks tightly. Although they were still quite large, they would not be conspicuous if she wore a loose coat. How about it? Is it okay now? Qin Haodong licked his lips and said, "Well, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to recover in the future?" Hu Shaoxian glanced at him charmingly and said with a sneer, "What's wrong with that? Even if it's small, you're the one who suffers." Qin Haodong was speechless. Why was he the one who suffered? What kind of logic was this? The two of them found a hidden place to rest for a while and eat something. Then they began to pay attention to these men in black. Finally, they chose two men who were about the same size as them as their targets. The two men were wearing hoods, so they couldn't see their faces at all. There were numbers 25 and 26 written on their lapels and cuffs, respectively. It seemed that they were used to distinguish them. Qin Haodong and Hu Shaoxian were not in a hurry. They stood behind the two gunmen and memorized their voices and habits. When they felt that it was enough, they knocked the two men out and changed their clothes. In order to prevent the unconscious gunmen from being discovered, Qin Haodong first sealed their acupoints, then chose two leafy trees from the side, tied the two men to the top of the trees, and left them to fend for themselves. After doing all this, they took over the original positions of the two gunmen and waited for the next shift. Unexpectedly, they waited for an entire night. It wasn't until the sun rose in the east the next morning that another team of gunmen came out from the underground tunnel. Qin Haodong and Hu Shaoxian exchanged positions with the gunmen, who took over, and followed the team of gunmen to the underground passage. In order to leave later, they deliberately slowed down their pace and stood at the end of the team. But they didn't go far before they heard the leader next to them shouting, "Number 25, number 26, why don't you two go back to your positions? Have you forgotten our discipline?" "Oh, I'll be right back." Qin Haodong imitated the gunman's accent and said. The two of them obediently returned to the middle of the group. However, it was impossible for them to leave midway. However, he had no choice but to take it one step at a time. They followed the team into the underground tunnel, and the door slowly closed. As the two of them walked in, they secretly observed their surroundings. The construction of this place was extremely modern. The environment was clean and tidy, and it was very spacious. The headlights above their heads lit up the place, and it didn't seem dark at all. If they hadn't walked in from the outside, they wouldn't have been able to tell that they were in the underground world. The area of this underground base was very large. After entering, the leader directly led them to the lounge on the right. After entering the door, the gunmen found the corresponding positions for their numbers and began to put down their weapons, remove their hoods, and take off their clothes. This time, the two of them were a little dumbfounded. If they were in a separate room, they might be able to get away with it. However, they were in full view of everyone here. As soon as they took off their masks, they would immediately be exposed. The leader next to them shouted, "Number 25, number 26, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you changing? Hurry up and change your clothes, take a shower, and then go to the restaurant to eat." Hearing that they were going to take a shower, Hu Shaoxian was a little dumbfounded. She was a woman. How could she take a shower in front of a group of big men? At this time, some gunmen next to her had begun to take off their pants. She couldn't watch a group of big men naked. She couldn't help but look at Qin Haodong for help. Qin Haodong also knew that it was impossible to sneak around again. Fortunately, they had entered the underground base. He took out another ecstasy pill and crushed it. Soon the gunman in the lounge fell to the ground. "Let's go." Qin Haodong took off the number on the chest of the gunman leader and walked out of the lounge with Hu Shaoxian. They followed the direction of the little fellow. Not far from the door, they encountered another heavy metal door. Qin Haodong scanned the leader's number in the position of identity confirmation. With a beep, the door slowly opened to both sides. It seemed that the leader had a high authority. After entering the door, The two of them were shocked by the scene in front of them, and then an irrepressible anger rose. Directly in front of them was a huge bulletproof glass wall. Behind the glass wall were densely packed glass containers. Each container was filled with red liquid. The liquid was either immersed in a complete human body, or cut off arms and legs, and various human organs. It could be seen that this was the core area of the experiment. Many staff in scientific research uniforms walked around. They didn't care about Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian, and continued with their work. The two of them calmed down, and continued to walk forward. More strange things appeared. Monsters of different shapes began to appear in the glass containers. Some had a snake's body and a human's head. Some had a leopard's head and a human's body. And some vaguely looked like humans. In fact, they were all put together by various monsters. Thinking of the various biochemical monsters they had encountered before, the two of them immediately understood that this was the base where the monsters were made. Those cyborgs were produced here. After all, Hu Xiaoxian was a woman. Seeing the scene in front of her, she couldn't help but feel nauseous. She quickly ran her genuine qi to suppress the feeling of wanting to vomit. Then she whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, "Damn it, they actually used human beings for experiments. They will be punished by heaven." Although Qin Haodong didn't say anything, he was also extremely angry. He had already sentenced everyone in the base to death. Perhaps in the eyes of these researchers, what they were doing was just ordinary work, but this touched his bottom line. Even the disciples of the Devil Gate in the cultivation world were not so cruel. These experimental bodies that were being cut up had different skin colors. Some were from the East, some were from Africa, and some were from the West. Without exception, they were all living people, but they were used for experiments. At this moment he made up his mind. As long as he rescued the little fellow, he must uproot this base. In the hall in the center of the base, Davis and Garnett had just eaten the exquisite breakfast that the servants had brought. Davis picked up a white napkin and wiped his mouth. He said, "Old man Beardy is dead. Our experimental bodies will soon be in shortage. It seems that we need to find a new spokesperson." Garnett said, "That's easy. There are many violent people like him in District 13. They are willing to do anything as long as they are paid. What I'm worried about now is that Huaxia man. After killing Beardy, he disappeared. I don't know where he went." Davis frowned and said, "Qin Haodong is indeed difficult to deal with, but don't worry too much. After all, his daughter is in our hands. With this bargaining chip, he won't be able to cause any trouble." At this moment, a harsh alarm sounded in the base. Everyone immediately became nervous. This was the alarm of an enemy invasion. Garnett grabbed the walkie-talkie in front of him and asked, "Who sent the alarm? What's going on?" The watchman in the monitoring room said in a hurry, "Boss, we just found that all the gunmen in the lounge have fainted. Also, 2 people wearing gunmen's clothes have crossed the experimental area. They are about to reach you." "How could this be?" Garnett hurriedly asked someone to switch the big screen to the lounge. He saw the gunman lying on the ground. It was exactly the same scene as when the gunman had fainted in the past. Davis said, "It's Qin Haodong. He must have come in. No wonder we can't see him outside." Garnett cried, "How did he make so many people faint at once? Is he a magician?" "He's definitely not a magician," Davis said. "I guess he must have a biochemical weapon that can make people faint quickly. He can also hypnotize people easily, so we must be careful." As he spoke, he waved to the guard captain next to him. "Gather all the guards immediately. They must be fully armed. Put on gas masks and sunglasses. Don't be hypnotized by this guy." "Yes." The guard captain answered and ran to gather the team. Davis picked up a pair of big sunglasses and put them on his face. At the same time, he threw another pair of sunglasses to Garnett. "Put them on, old man. Our guests will be here soon." Qin Haodong and Hu Xiaoxian passed through the experimental area and arrived at the center of the entire underground base. When they passed through another electronic door, they suddenly found 50 armed gunmen in front of them. These people were not only fully armed, but they were also wearing gas masks and big sunglasses. He couldn't help but smile. It seemed that these people were targeting him. "Old friend, welcome," Davis said as he stood up from the sofa and made a welcoming gesture with a smile. In contrast, Garnett's expression was much more serious. Qin Haodong said, "Davis, did you kidnap my daughter?" Davis said with a smile, "Qin, you're being too harsh. This is not a kidnapping. I just invited your daughter to M country as a guest. She's living happily here." Qin Haodong said, "Don't talk nonsense. Tell me your conditions. What do you want me to do to get my daughter back?" "Well, since you're so anxious, I'll get straight to the point," Davis said. "Immediately ask your people to stop the production of the blood revival elixir and give me your formula. As long as you do these two things, I can immediately return your lovely daughter to you. It's that simple." "No problem, I can promise you that," Qin Haodong said. "Before I came here, Tangmin Traditional Chinese Medicine Company had already stopped the production of the blood revival elixir and was producing the Great Liver Protecting Pill. This is completely in line with your requirements. As for the formula, I'll write it for you now." As he spoke, Qin Haodong strode forward, grabbed a pen and paper from a table, and wrote down a formula. After he finished writing, he flicked his finger. The originally light piece of paper fell directly on the tea table in front of Davis, as if it was not affected by any air resistance. "Mr. Davis, is it time to return my daughter to me?" At this time, Garnett said, "No, the two formulas you gave us before were fake. No one knows whether it's real or fake this time. We have to verify it before we can believe you." Qin Haodong glanced at him and asked, "Who are you?" Davis took the formula and said with a smile, "Let me formally introduce you. This is my partner, Mr. Garnett." Qin Haodong said, "Bosses, I'm in your territory now, and there are so many guns pointing at me. Are you afraid that I'll run away?" Davis thought for a moment and said, "Well, we'll also show our sincerity and return the lovely little girl to you first. However, you must wait until we get the results of the experiment before you leave." Then, he waved his hand behind him, and a slim woman came out with the little fellow in her arms. "You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."